right, did you hear about this? A Democrat whistleblower has told the FBI that then Congressman Adam Schiff approved leaking classified information in order to discredit President Trump, and the White House is giving its first reaction.
The president has already said he wants to see Adam Schiff held accountable for the countless lies he told the American people in relation to the Russiagate scandal. I have a quote from the FBI director. For years, certain officials used their positions to selectively leak classified information to shape political narratives. It was all done with one purpose, to weaponize intelligence and law enforcement for political gain. Those abuses eroded public trust in our institutions. The FBI will now lead the charge with our partners at DOJ and Congress.
Iowa Congresswoman Marionette Miller-Meeks joins me now to react. Congresswoman, good morning to you. If true, how serious of an offense is this, and what can be done?
Well, it certainly is very serious, and Shifty Adam Schiff is justifying his name that he was given. Leaking classified information, as you know, is a serious offense, and it will be up to the Oversight Committee, Judiciary Committee, in order to handle this. But this is a very serious allegation. I've asked for Senator Schiff to resign. He should resign immediately.
Well, a Democrat staffer is the whistleblower. He was a Democrat staffer on the House Intel Committee for 12 years. And on top of claiming that Adam Schiff approved leaking classified information, this person also said Ranking Member Schiff was particularly upset as he had believed he would have been appointed as the director of the CIA had candidate Hillary Clinton won the election. What do you make of those details?
Well, remember that we were upset with Adam Schiff being put on Intel and kept on Intel. We thought he should have left Intel, been off of Intel when this was suspected earlier before, when also suspected that he was lying about classified information. So this is a serious charge. He needs to be held accountable, but people need to call for his resignation. And I think members of Congress, at least on the Republican side, are asking for him to step down.
Comey's wig, uncovering something big. Like Big Mike, a honeypot, no better operation cross-dresser. Like Big Mike, they went off the books, now their balls are cooked. Like Big Mike, 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 Mike. Guess what? Guess what? Guess what? Guess what? Everything will be okay. Guess what? It's hump day. Get it on.
Back in the studio. Oh, thank God. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Back in the studio. We've had a lot of fun on the road. Don't get me wrong. And we're about to have even more fun. Today's program, Donald Trump will be live at the new Trump Center, the Kennedy Center, Trump Kennedy Center. We've renamed it. It's fun. It's wild. It's exciting. And we were right there at the White House yesterday. But hot diggity damn, I'm bad. I'm bad. I'm down bad. I'm happy to be back in the studio. Woo! We are happy to be back home. And boy, coming home was the single best part. We were on the road for like, I don't know, 5 days straight. And that's a lot for me. I'm pushing 40. Baby. Here's me coming home yesterday. Thank you, Killer Klein. That was exactly what I wanted. Jeez. Killer Klein. We call it ALX AI around here, where ALX just automatically knows what like asset is needed next. But now we have Klein AI, so I need to come up with like a better version of like Grok, Klein Grok, something like that. Yeah, this is me coming home yesterday. Here's the crew. Fancy the children, ladies and gentlemen. This is my family, and this is why we do the show. This is what drives us. This is our energy. This is our vibe. Ensuring that we are fighting for the future of America, literally physically creating the future of America. What up if you're out there in the audience doing that right now? And ensuring that we pass on a country that is functional and that is better than the country we found. That is a blessed generation. And we are going to do that today on the show. Today is Wednesday, August 13th, 2025. James Comey. Oh my. James Comey just had a bombshell document dropped from the FBI that exposes his authorizing of classified information to be leaked to the New York Times. This comes in concert with Adam Schiff's disclosures yesterday doing the exact same thing. Adam Schiff leaking classified information. Oh, naughty, naughty. You know that the statute of limitations for that is 20 years? So both of them can be charged and can be charged immediately. Things are cooking in Washington, D.C. President Trump will be live at the Kennedy Center making an announcement, and he has a very busy week and a very busy schedule. Unfortunately, we weren't able to pop into the Oval Office. Don't worry, we asked, but we weren't able to pop into the Oval Office when we were at the White House yesterday. Something having to do with like meeting Vladimir Putin in 48 hours at a U.S. military base. What a wild time. Of course, we will be live for that. Believe that. That's going to happen on Friday. Today, ladies and gentlemen, is Hump Day. We have Mike Benz on the program who's going to elucidate for all of us what is happening inside of our deep state that seems to be in deep collapse right now. What does it all mean? What are the connections? The George Soros connection in particular I want to talk about with Mike. Rick Crawford will also be joining the show. He's the chairman of the Arkansas GOP. I have some questions for him about the Clinton Foundation. Like, why isn't the Clinton Foundation being investigated? Why can't we investigate? Like in Arkansas, you can investigate the Clintons. So we've been working our way through like Arkansas politics and asking the questions like, wait a second, if the Clinton library's there, couldn't we just like get all the documents? Couldn't we like find out everything? Yeah, we can. So it's going to be an exciting show, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Make sure that you're going gold in the golden era. Everybody's keeping an eye on the Fed right now. We were actually right across the street from the Fed yesterday. Interest rate cuts might affect gold prices. Gold's been hovering around $3,500 an ounce for the last 2 months and is poised to dramatically grow if there is a rate cut. Now, the opportunity for a rate cut is right around the corner, with even the Fed finally agreeing that we do need to cut rates. Join Advantage Gold for their virtual Gold and Silver Summit on Wednesday, August 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Find out why now is the best time to invest in gold and prepare your financial assets for a big-time economic reset. Text the word GOLD, G-O-L-D, to 85545. Get free access to the Advantage Gold Virtual Gold Silver Summit. You'll get actionable intelligence on how to help dealing with rising debt and hedge against unpredictable economic environments. Text GOLD to 85545, GOLD to 85545. Get your free pass for the Silver and Gold Summit on Wednesday, August 20th, 7 p.m. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. All right, yesterday, boy, howdy, do we ever make news? It was fun being at the White House yesterday because we have a lot of friends who work in the building and a lot of conversations that happen behind closed doors and behind the scenes. But let me just reveal something to you, that the White House loves you, and they love you. They love you wrong time. Okay. The White House is big fans of this show, the audience that we've built up, and you're walking down the hallway and you're just getting pulled into every single door. Like you can't go like 5 steps without somebody like, oh, hey, Betty, come here. I'm going to show you something. Oh, okay, get over here. I want to show you something. Like, no, I'm not like Adam Schiff. They're not showing me like the classified information. I can't leak it to you, nor would I. They're all going to go to prison. We're going to cover that in just a second. But it's such an exciting and dynamic time to be here in the golden era and to have so many of our friends and allies and strong people working with us inside the White. Can you grab that Carolyn Levitt photo, please? It's up on the old timeline. There it is, man. Killer Klein is Killer Klein's fast. Oh man, it's just so cool. We didn't try. We weren't trying to match. We didn't plan this. Like I'm not on like I'm not on the girls text chain here with Caroline. I wasn't like, what you wearing today? Let's be cute. I wasn't trying to do it. And we didn't have we didn't have cute things to talk about. There was I was on a mission in the new media seat yesterday. And you only get like a minute to say yes. They call you, they're like, can you be here tomorrow morning first thing? Boom. And so we the topic of the day is something that happened to be very, very near and dear to my heart, which is of course my family and our children, and by extension your children, grandchildren, the children perhaps you may want in the future. Everybody, you deserve you deserve, and you don't deserve. It is your right, your birthright in this nation to have a functional national capital where you can bring your children to. And your children can safely see the monuments that were built by your ancestors. Your family bled and died out. Some of them died in order to build these monuments and create this gleaming capital city. And at its best, Washington, D.C. is a sparkling and dynamic place dripping in patriotism and history that is a beautiful crystallization of what America and our story is. It deserves to be preserved. And if we can't preserve it, if we let the orcs and the hordes overrun it, criminals savage, pillage, rape, and kill throughout our nation's capital, what does it say about us as a people? What does it say about us as a nation? What does it say about the ideology we wish to project onto the world? The Western world is crumbling and crumbling fast. Now we're going to reverse that trend in my lifetime. We've already have, I think, in great part. But, you know, when the West is under attack, you must have a citadel. You have to have Helm's Deep, and that's what America is right now. America is the place where the entire Western world is looking to say, please save us. And they've done that a lot. It's kind of getting exhausting. Like, please, somebody else do the saving. But here we are. This is the charge that God has placed upon us. And so when the eyes of the world come to Washington, D.C., and what I mean by that is 10 million tourists a year come to Washington, D.C. to look at our national monuments, to look at our nation's capital, to look at the White House. You can go at 24 hours a day. There's going to be large tourist groups outside of the White House, outside of the U.S. Capitol, traveling around buses in D.C. When they come to the world, like when they come to see us, what are they going to say about our country? What are they going to say about who we are? What are they going to say about us as a people? Our nation's capital will reflect that. And so that is why it is imperative to fix Washington, D.C. If you just move down to a personal level, you probably know my little story. I try very hard not to be anecdotal on the show. I think we fail at that actually quite regularly. But but I'm living life with you, and nobody wants their children to be under threat. This happened to me, and my blood was boiling when I saw reporters who were there in the room, who were right next to me. You know, it's really funny. They bring you out. It's like The Masked Singer or something. You know, it's like a game show. It's like Price is Right, you know. They open the door slides open, and like you come walking out, and everyone's sitting there in the press room. All these like doughy reporters are sitting there, all their twisted little expressions, and then they're all looking like, who's going to be the guy who gets trotted out here for the new media seat? You know, who's going to be the dumb jackass that we're going to have to listen to today? And when you go walking out in a new media seat and they sit you down, you can hear like an audible groan from the press room. I didn't want to be gauche and like record, like walk out like this, recording the whole thing. I should have probably, and next time I will. But when I walked out, there was an audible hiss, like an alley cat, like from the front row of the corporate press. Caitlin Collins' eyes rolled so far back in her head, they like snapped. You could like hear it. You could hear her retinas snap. Right? And they were like, oh God, oh man, what is this guy gonna bring? Here's the photo actually of all of them. Like just, I stared them down. We stared them down. Yeah. Klein, I could have used you, man. I could have used some jujitsu if a fight broke out. It was so close, so close. It's okay. We would have kicked her, even without Klein's jujitsu training. We would have kicked their asses. And they're like miserable people, and they lie for a living. And I'll tell you something that happened behind the scenes. I know I'm like getting long-winded on this, but it's just been a long time, and I feel like we should chat. We're back in the studio. The White House press corps, I'm like sitting there backstage with Carolyn Leavitt and her team. And the White House team there, Carolyn Leavitt's team, is like, you want to know what's funny about this news cycle of all these corporate media reporters being like, no, DC is actually safe, crime's down, is that those sons of bitches come into our office regularly complaining about how dangerous their commute is into the White House, regularly complaining about getting camera equipment stolen, getting lights stolen, getting mugged, getting robbed. We played a clip yesterday of like an actual honest ABC News anchor talking about getting mugged outside of ABC News in a very nice and posh part of the city. And so they were actually hyping me up, right? The team is like, listen, they're like, you know, these reporters, they're constantly complaining about how dangerous DC is. But they get fed the same talking points that like Donald Trump can do nothing good. Even if Trump is saving their lives or saving the lives of like parents who just want to raise their children in the city. Because what happens when the capital city is a fallen Gotham is that good people don't want to go there and work. Good people don't want to go there and start a family and work, have a job, serve the Trump administration. Let me tell you something. The chances of me moving back to DC, zero. Zero. I don't care what I'm offered. Zero. I will never move back to that godforsaken hellscape. Maybe if Trump fixes it. Maybe if Trump fixes it. Not like I'm thinking about that, right? That's not like even in the cards. But like what is any paycheck worth losing your child? Would you trade your child for money? Of course not. And that's what people have to, that is the barter that you have to get to have in a place like DC. Am I going to raise my kids in a place where they're going to get hit by a stray bullet? I think his name was like Dayton Martin. I don't know. No, it was like, I can't remember what his name was. He was like literally in my neighborhood. Little kid, football player, played football in the league that I used to coach. I used to coach like the 6-year-old football team. And he just just freaking killed, man. He just gets killed. Stray bullet, boom, drive by, boom, dead. Well, that could have been my kid because it was my block, right? Are you going to live in a place like that? Of course not. Like, of course not, right? It is immoral, in fact, to like exchange your child's life for money. Anyway, the point is that I get angry about this kind of stuff because it's personal to me. So I brought a little bit of that spice to the news, to the press room yesterday. We got a chance to ask our question. I know there's a lot of topics. There's a lot of things to talk about. But President Trump, just within the last 24 hours, exerted his legal and constitutional right to take over Washington, D.C. Police Department. Oh, and ALX, if we don't have that D.C. police chief saying, what's the chain of command? Oh, my gosh. Oh, my God. Do we have that? Well, since I'm talking about it, we might as well play it. To show you how incompetent the city is, here's the chief of police. Is that correct? What's her name? Let's find her name out. What's her name? What's her name? Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. Pamela Smith. Here's the chief of police saying, what do you mean chain of command? I've never even heard that before.
That's what the chain of command is now?
What does that mean?
Well, is it Pam Bondi speaking to the mayor, speaking to you, or how does this work?
So the executive order is clear. The president has requested MPD services, and our home rule charter outlines the process. The president designated Attorney General Bondi as his proxy to request services through me.
According to available reports, the individual in charge of the DC Police Department is not a DEI hire, like a literal DEI hire. What is going on with police forces in the country? Can we just have like a hard-boiled like cop? Can we just have cops hired based on meritocracy? Like the ability to like throw criminals in prison? What the hell is going on here with our police forces? We're gonna need to really chat about this, whether it's Cincinnati, that old like wench in Cincinnati, or this lady, DC police chief ripped for mind-blowing response to basic question. Yikes. Yeah, she's asked, what's the chain of command? And she's like, huh? I don't understand what you're talking about. And you're the one that's trying to solve the murders and the crimes? You know, that's the interesting thing. Our house was like set ablaze. There were murders on my Ring camera. I said it. And I have the footage. Happy to play it for you. like so funny. People are like, oh, it's fake. Well, it's on camera, idiots. Hey, morons, it's on camera. You see the police reports. What's incredible is they never did any fault. There was no arrest for any of this. There's no arrest for any of this. When the administration says you can just go and kill and murder in DC and you just get away with it, there were no arrests. No detectives called me. Nobody even tried to find the perpetrators. They didn't care. I think the sad and kind of brutal reality of all this is they don't care because it's in a poor neighborhood. It's a black neighborhood. You know who's the victims of crime in DC? Blacks. You know the perpetrators of crime in DC? Blacks. So it's black on black crime. This is just the basic statistics, right? I'm actually I'm an outlier, right? Because we were living in, I don't know what you'd call it, gentrified or whatever. But we were living in a neighborhood. It's just all we could afford, right? We couldn't afford like a palace, on Embassy Row. So we had to start our lives. We didn't have any money. So, we bought where we could afford. But the vast majority, this is a great example. What is going on with our police chiefs? Why do all of our police chiefs look like they're some type of I don't know, really horrible, I don't know what this cast would be. Some type of awful, Hallmark Channel, old lady comedy, right? Let's do a vacation to a New England town and hijinks ensues, right? We're all from Philadelphia and we decided to go to New Hampshire to go apple picking. It's a Hallmark special. The Golden Curls, the Golden Chiefs. Golden Chiefs, probably Elizabeth Warren's tribal name. Anyway, the point is that the basic and harsh reality of all this is that the vast majority of victims of crime in DC are black. Goodness, there's the boy. There he is. Oh, goodness. I can't believe it. Davon McNeil. I said Davon. I think I did remember his name. I think I said it right. Davon. I didn't get it. There he is. A little kid. He was 11 years old. Here's a photo of him. Literally just shot dead. Walking distance from where I live. There he is. He was a great athlete. He's a happy kid. I coached in games where he was playing. And he just gets killed. Just shot and his life ended. Your kid, my kid. But nobody knows his name, right? It's just another stat that they don't want you to see. Black on black crime. And so that is the importance of all this. And I'm sorry to rail on it again and again and again. But this is why I just wanted to underwrite why we brought these questions to the White House. Because I know there's a lot to ask. I know there's a lot of things that people want to cover. But this is personal to me. And when given an opportunity to ask a question, here's what we did, ladies and gentlemen.
So let's get started. And as always, we'll start with our new media C, who is our podcast host today, Benny Johnson. Benny, why don't you kick us off? And thanks for being here.
Thank you, Caroline. As a DC resident of 15 years, I lived on Capitol Hill. I witnessed so many muggings and so much theft. I lost track. I was carjacked. I have murders on my Ring camera and mass shootings. I witnessed a woman on my block get held up at gunpoint for $20, and my house was set ablaze in an arson with my infant child inside. And so to any reporter that says and lies that DC is a safe place to live and work, let me just say this. Thank you. Thank you for making the city safe, because no parent should have to go through what my family went through, having the fire department rip open their door to save their infant child. And so thank you for your work on securing this city. My question to you is this. Nancy Pelosi has attacked the president for deploying the National Guard to the city, saying that it is to cover for his incompetence. Hillary Clinton has also attacked the president for securing the city of Washington, D.C. I'd like to get your response to Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton.
Sure. Well, first of all, Benny, I'm so sorry that happened to you and your family. There have been, unfortunately, far too many victims of crime in this city, and I know the majority of residents in the District of Columbia agree with you. In fact, a new poll from the Washington Post I was reading this morning, this was released in May of 2024, so it's quite funny how many of you in the media agreed with what the president was saying yesterday, but now once the president says it, many of you are disagreeing with him. But this poll released by the Washington Post found that 65% of district residents think crime is an extremely serious or a very serious problem. And this was up from 56% last year. So the concern that you share with so many other residents in the District of Columbia is real. And that's why this president is taking action to address it. To get to the heart of your question, I think it's despicable that Democrats cannot agree that we need more law and order in a city that has been ravaged by violence, crime, murders, property theft. This should be a winning issue for all Americans. I don't understand. It's just anything President Trump does, the Democrats want to disagree with. I think the president would love to work with Democrats on this issue to bring law and order to America's cities, but unfortunately they have failed, and that's why he's taken this historic action to federalize the National Guard. And as you're seeing from last night's numbers, we already have seen success. We are removing violent offenders, we are arresting criminals, and we are removing drugs and firearms off of the streets of the city to make it safer for all of its residents.
So let me tell you a little something. One, the White House does not, and as far as I know, and I know a number of people, I know pretty much every person that sat in that new media seat, never once was I told what to ask, asked what I was going to ask. Never once did anybody like check me into a corner and be like, hey, here's what's going to happen. Do this, 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 and then definitely wear the same colors as Caroline Leavitt. You better be matchy with her, right? We want you both to look cute like little, anime girls. No, I'm telling you, like, nobody asked anything. You could have gone anywhere with it. I could have gone anywhere with it. I could have been like Eric Swalwell farted on national TV. Is there going to be an investigation into that? Clearly like a weapon of mass destruction. But I asked about this mass destruction. This is my house. There you go. This is the flames that engulfed my neighborhood, right? So this is the known drug house that is next to my home. Here's my home and the known drug house, all on fire, all in flames, right? So this is it. It's funny how like blue and on libs, like very, very smooth brain libs are like, well, like that story sounds fake. It really is utterly remarkable to me. The indifference of humanity. There were a bunch of libs like celebrating yesterday that this happened to my family. They're like thrilled about it. It's why we'll never celebrate death. It's why we'll never celebrate like bad things happening to people. If you do, we're going to talk about the crimes of Adam Schiff and James Comey. If you do crimes, well, you need to be punished, right? But if you're an innocent family that's living here and just trying to like pay your taxes and make a living and make the country a better place, and this is how your house ends up with your children inside. By the way, there were deaths here. They barely saved the kids, and I watched them carry out. They had multiple dogs. I watched them carry out all the dogs on stretchers. All the dogs died. That's how dangerous the fire was. There were the deaths of all of their animals. All of their dogs were burned alive. They were all dead. Oh man, it was one of the worst days ever. I watched them carry out these stretchers. There are these kids living there. And this is Section 8 housing, right? So Section 8 housing. And there are these little kids living there. You never really know what's going on. And I watched them carry out these stretchers. Well, I saw it. They were carrying out these stretchers with these, what looked like small bodies on them. And I was like, I almost threw up because I thought maybe it would have been one of the kids. Our kid barely survived with their life, right? Her name's Eloise. This is what the house looked like from the back. So yeah. Anyway, the point is that like the indifference of the left is just truly and utterly cruel. I happen to have a platform, so I can talk about this. What about the family here? Like what would happen if they had all burned alive? Like they wouldn't have cared. They wouldn't have cared. They're sitting here with their little Black Lives Matter shirts on. Their stupid little flags, right? Their damn bumper stickers. They don't give a damn about black people. They don't care at all. They don't care. I watched it. I physically watched it happen day after day after day in this neighborhood. Anyway, I was happy to, show up and throw down for you next time when we're doing this. We'll do a poll and ask people about the question. They sort of don't want you to talk about it beforehand. And the reason why that was the one thing I got was like, don't talk about it beforehand because the briefing schedule can change dynamically. And we know that on this show. So don't do a big hype up for something that may well get pulled because briefings come and go, and the president has, who knows what can happen, right? And sometimes the briefings get canceled and so on. So anyway, let's So I was able to just go off the dome. Caroline Leavitt had it like locked in, and she was ready for that. She's often ready for whatever question's thrown at her. But I'm not sure she was ready for this one because I came through with a follow-up. Ladies and gentlemen, let's just call it a big old swinger. Here we go.
Just a very quick follow-up to that. Given the heroic actions of a member of this administration just a few blocks from this building, will the president consider giving the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Big Balls?
I haven't spoken to him about that, but perhaps it's something he would consider. I'll ask him and get back to you, Benny. Thanks for being here.
In case you need a little refresher, ALX, if we could grab, I have a post on X about Big Balls. In case you need a very brief refresher, Big Balls is a 19-year-old who behaved in a way that is so utterly honorable, you never even see it anymore. There it is. Big Balls witnessed a woman getting mugged and beaten, and he stepped in. Big Balls took on 7 young youths and got his ass kicked for it, because that's just what happens when it's you versus 7 youths. He was left bloodied and dead, left for dead on the side of the street. And Big Balls works, of course, for Doge. And he's just in Washington, D.C. to make this country a better place. He just wants the government to run more efficiently. He stepped in to save the life of a woman. He did save her life, and he took the beating that was intended for that woman. They were going to beat her. They were going to rob her. Who knows what else? And so this is an action that actually spurred on all of the news cycle that we're talking about right now. You know, Donald Trump's like, wow, this is like multiple members of my administration are getting attacked and savaged. Members of Congress getting attacked and savaged. Some of them are Democrats. We care as much about them as here, right? It's a human question. So anyway, that's why we asked that question. It was covered by Fox News last night. Covered by a ton of, actually a ton of different news outlets. But here we go. White House wants Big Balls to get the same medal as Rosa Parks. Yes, thank you. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, do you have the Hill? Here we go. The Hill. Benny Johnson at White House rails against DC crime. True. Floats presidential medal for Big Balls. Yes. It's just too easy. There are a couple other ones. It's like great. It was trending, by the way, yesterday, and it's fun. And the kid deserves it, right? Fox News' coverage of it last night was awesome too. Do we got that? Yeah, okay, we got it. It's pretty easy to pop over. It's just in the other chat. Fox News covered it. It's great. Here we go. So yeah, like, you know, we're just bringing the will of the people into the halls of power. Here we go.
Capitol is dangerous. The president simply wants to make it safer. Big Balls put up a bat signal, and Trump is responding.
Donald Trump makes himself Batman, and the nation's capital is Gotham City.
Yup, Big Balls was the straw that broke the camel's back. He tried saving a woman, and he got beaten to a pulp. But his story isn't over.
Given the heroic actions of a member of this administration just a few blocks from this building, will the president consider giving the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Big Balls?
I haven't spoken to him about that, but perhaps it's something he would consider.
It would certainly be an interesting plaque.
Certainly would be an interesting plaque. We have that. You got to grab it. It's on the timeline. Give me that Presidential Medal of Freedom for Big Balls. There's like a ton of memes that have been made about it. It's the last I'll say on it. Okay, last I'll say. I know we spent a lot of time here. Give me the last. Yeah, give me that. Okay. There are. No, it's the memes. It's the memes. It's the memes of him having a. It's the meme. No, it's just reposts. So you just got to go to the timeline. There's like lots of memes. It was trending, and everybody wants to see it happen. And it's our duty to make sure that we make the memes real. Listen, if there's one thing that this administration has done, it's making the memes real. So here you go. Here's what the So this is what Caroline. So I showed this to Caroline Leavitt backstage, and she was howling with laughter. And she said, "You're actually going to make this happen, won't you? You're going to manifest this into existence." That's what she said. Listen, I don't have control. I don't write the proclamations. Okay. We're just humble content creators, humbly working for you. But yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to see this? Oh, they'd be mad at this one. Oh, they'd be mad. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing here. And we're having a blast. And so we just want to say thank you. Can't happen without you. Can't happen without the power of this audience locking in and causing such deep and profound respect from everywhere from inside of the White House to the rest of the corporate media, and getting a chance to expose them, scold them a little bit. I didn't want to go, last thing, I didn't want to go in there and be like, F you, you're cool, F you. You know, I didn't want to do that. Jerry has that meme. I didn't really want to do that, but like they're liars. And I think like the story stands for itself, right? They're just like freaking liars. And they secretly, behind the scenes, are not who they say that they are. Behind the scenes, they're thanking the administration for this. And so we're happy to stand up for big balls. We're happy to continue the fight. And we're just profoundly humbled by the fact that you allow us to have these, to fight these fights with you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will not let you down. It was a very fun time, by the way, yesterday inside of the White House. It's a very neat little opportunity to stream live. If you caught the stream live yesterday, again, we're going to be streaming President Trump's remarks from the Kennedy Center. Oh, that's cool, Klein. It actually just went live. I'm not saying Trump's live right now, but the feed just went live. So this is what President Trump, where President Trump will be. He's going to be taking questions. Again, in 48 hours, he's going to be meeting Vladimir Putin on an American military base in Alaska. It's freaking awesome. So this is where President Trump will be speaking live in what's going to be about 15 minutes. Who knows? It could be also an hour. Whatever. We're gonna stick around for it, but it's scheduled for about 15, 20 minutes. We're going to rock and roll. We've got some cool guests. That's what President Trump's going to be. Boy, what did I bring with me? What did I bring with me on my trip to Washington, D.C.? I brought an incredible mug. I brought my Trump mug. This is actually why I don't have it this morning, because, well, it's in the dishwasher. I brought my Trump mug from the Trump store. It actually says Trump on it. You can drink all your coffee through. You can drink your coffee. You can bring the empty mug through, and then you can bring it on the plane. You go fill up your coffee, right? You get your mug, and you don't have to drink out of those melty, plasticky cups with the straws that disintegrate inside. It's like terrible. Also, all that stuff's plastic. The hot coffee, the plastic gets into the coffee. No. Drink out of a metal mug. My Trump mug is what I used when I traveled to go see Trump. What's up, man? Own a piece of the Trump legacy. You got to go to the Trump store, man. It's an awesome store. This is what travels with me at all times. TrumpStore.com, the official online store of the Trump organization. They got the best Trump-inspired gear anywhere. We're talking exclusive merchandise, bold apparel, collectibles. Everything is designed with signature Trump flair. MAGA hats in every color. Solely made in America and always will be. Make America Great Again tees and hoodies. We're giving away MAGA hats. I'm bringing them in. I love a MAGA hat, don't get me wrong. And if there was one hat that you'll catch me wearing down the street, it would be that. However, I'm not a big hat guy. You're not going to catch me in the hat, okay? I'm proud of this hair. I'm proud I still have hair, okay? Knock on wood. But like, you're not going to catch me in the hat. So we're just going to like tomorrow, Klein tomorrow, wherever we have the next Trump store, we're going to give away the hats, okay? We'll give away the hats. We'll literally do it live. I'll bring the hats in. It'll be fun. Use code Benny15 at checkout, 15% off your first order from Trump Store. Benny15 at checkout for 15% off your first order at Trump Store. Don't miss it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, one more breakdown of this live shot. So the presidential seal isn't up yet, but the entire podium and everything's been set up. This looks like the Kennedy Center. It has all the Kennedy Center emblems on it. And so Donald Trump's going to be taking questions from the press from here, and he's going to be making a big announcement about the Kennedy Center. All right. Big announcement from this morning. Holy guacamole. Can you still say that with all the mass deportations? I don't know. I'm not sure. Got the recipes. So, now we're good. Comey's media mole told the FBI he shaped Russia narrative. Needed to discount to deny leaking intel. Oh, my. So we covered yesterday how Adam Schiff, according to a whistleblower, was leaking information. And was leaking information to the media that was classified. It's a big no-no. He spent 20 years in prison for doing that. that would presumably be like the rest of Adam Schiff's life. You know, he's like middle-aged. So this ain't good, and it's not a good thing to do. But now we have James Comey, who clearly did these things, is now documented for doing these things. Let's go ahead and read here the top line from Just the News. Columbia University law professor Daniel Richmond admitted to agents in an interview that he routinely communicated on behalf of James Comey, his longtime friend, with Times reporter Michael Schmidt, whose work among the newspaper's 2018 Pulitzer Prize-winning stories on Russia election interference. The goal, Richmond told the FBI, was to correct stories critical of Comey, the FBI, and to shape future press coverage outside of the Bureau's official press office, according to the FBI internal memos that current Director Kash Patel delivered to Congress this week. While Richmond was known to have been publicly quoted in news stories advocating for Comey, he admitted to agents who were part of the FBI's classified leaks inquiry that he was given access by Comey to what turned out to be highly classified information up to an SCI level, that's the highest classification, and sometimes provided information to reporters on an anonymous basis. Richmond insisted that he did not believe that he'd confirmed or provided classified intelligence to reporters. Oh, really? But said he could not be 100% sure, the memo states, noting that he could only make a leak denial with a discount. Richmond was pretty sure that he did not confirm the classified information. However, Richmond told the interviewing agents that he was sure with a discount that he did not tell Schmidt about the classified information. Okay, this sounds great. Perfect for James Comey here. In the end, the Justice Department decided not to pursue any criminal charges, isn't that amazing, against Comey or any of the lieutenants in the now Senator Adam Schiff-led leak operation, potential evidence of the leaks, saying that it could not be certain who leaked what and when. But the interrogation of Richmond and his admissions of significant contact with the Times, Schmidt provides the most detailed account of how Trump critics like Comey, who were fired by the president, used the media to craft narratives ultimately turned out to be untrue or misleading or overstated, the memos show. Oh my. Okay, let's go ahead and outline the story with John Solomon, who of course has been doing just absolutely God's work on this stuff. I'd love to get Solomon on the show. It'd be really cool. We should reach out. Let's reach out to John Solomon. Man, he does great work. Here's John Solomon outlining what Adam Schiff was doing. Here we go.
Well, what you find out is that James Comey decided not to work through the FBI press office when he wanted to change the narrative in Washington, burnish his reputation against attacks from Democrats, and try to sully Donald Trump's reputation. If you remember, Democrats were mad that James Comey let out of the bag just before the election that there might be some new evidence in the Hillary Clinton email scandal. Hillary blamed Comey for throwing the election. She blamed the Russians for throwing the election. She blamed everybody but herself for throwing the election for her. But Comey was trying to rehabilitate that. And so he had an intermediary, a Columbia law professor by the name of Daniel Richmond, who the FBI confirmed and interviewed. And Richmond said, yes, I used my relationship with a New York Times reporter named Michael Schmidt. He's one of the authors of the Pulitzer Prize winning package that President Trump is now suing over. And my goal was to improve negative stories about James Comey and to set a narrative, i.e. set the Russia collusion narrative. This guy worked around the official channels of the FBI press office. And at one point, the FBI noted, you met with James Comey. He gave you access to classified information. A short while later, you had a conversation with that New York Times reporter, and he ends up reporting something that appears to be classified. Did you do it? And he gives, I think, perhaps the most famous denial people will remember, since Bill Clinton says it depends what the meaning of the word is when he tried to obfuscate whether he had an affair with Monica Lewinsky. He says, I can say I don't think I confirmed the information. I can say with a discount that I didn't give him the classified information. With a discount means you got to give me some room. It's an extraordinary moment. The FBI clearly had strong suspicions that this was a potential backdoor for information, maybe classified information, to get out to the media with James Comey's fingerprints on it. And they didn't go much further. They didn't put Comey before the grand jury, that we can tell. They didn't appear to put this gentleman, Daniel Richmond, before the grand jury. And like Adam Schiff, as we told you last night, here they have an eyewitness whistleblower said, I was in the room when he authorized leaks of intel. these end up being a dead end again. And it's another reminder of a dual system of justice that the Justice Department had the last 6 years. These are documents that were never given to Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan confirmed that to me today. And we're just learning 8 years later, because of what Kash Patel turned over, that the FBI had all the evidence of how the false narrative of Russia collusion was spread across this country to the detriment of voters, to the detriment of President Trump's first campaign, and they did nothing about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, in just seconds, we will have the chairman of the Intel Committee who will be on our program live, Rick Crawford. I need him to respond, however, to this. This is James Comey responding to these leaks. Again, this is, some are classifying this as treasonous. We're going to talk about it. Here's James Comey's response to this from back in the day.
Maybe for you or your attorney, my understanding is that when you shared your memos with your legal team, that there was a follow-up for a classified containment operation by the Bureau. Was there a spill of classified information when you shared those memos?
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about something like that.
So, Director Comey, well, that's important to talk about whether classified information was mishandled.
Whether you think it is or not, I'm not going to talk about it one way or another.
Oh, I'm not going to talk about it. Here's Daniel Richmond, just so that you guys can see who we're talking about. Good old Daniel Richmond, James Comey's bestie. He was also a former federal prosecutor. Sure got an archetype there, don't they? Quite the phenotype. He's a Columbia law professor. Comey gave him special government employee status, and he illegally leaked Comey memos to the New York Times. He also was handed classified information by James Comey. Well, wait a second. Isn't that what they tried to prosecute Donald Trump for? We're going to talk with the chairman of the Intel Committee about it. Newly declassified documents show that FBI Director James Comey ordered the FBI, including Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, to assist the New York Times in the writing of their articles. Do you want to know why we asked about Operation Mockingbird? Man, we went viral with that one with Tulsi. You know why we asked about it? This is it. Tulsi goes, it's still happening. And this is what she means. Here's James Comey directing the writing of the New York Times. Wild. It's right there in black and white. Most federal crimes have a 5-year statute of limitations, but the Espionage Act has a 10-year. And covering up criminal conspiracy continues. Bottom line, lawyer up Comey, justice is coming. And Bureau of Prisons should start ordering 6'8" jumpsuits. That's like, okay, all right. Well, I can't wait to see what our next guest has to say about this. His name is Rick Crawford. He is the chairman of the Intel Committee. It's our honor to have him on the program right now. Oh. Okay. Well, he just dropped, and it is unfortunate that that's the case, but ladies and gentlemen, I guess we just lost connection. I guess we just lost connection with Chairman Crawford. He was set, and so it is the way that it is. I guess we'll try and get him back. It is a live show, in case you're wondering. And I do want to show you something very interesting about the Donald Trump setup that just happened. They just wheeled in a bunch of red objects. This is going to be very interesting live. They just wheeled in a bunch of whatever this is. Like, what is this exactly? I don't know. So they've just brought in, like, it's the Handmaiden Sale. Donald Trump's announcing the Handmaiden Sale. Now it's all Handmaiden Sale. The whole country's a Handmaiden Sale. Here it is. That's what they got. So I guess we'll see. Ladies and gentlemen. All right. Representative Rick Crawford from Arkansas. Member of the House of Representatives, Congress, and the Intelligence Committee, something that we've been talking about for a long time, joins us to elucidate for our audience what's going to happen next. Let's go. Chairman, how are you?
I'm good.
Uh-oh. I'm so sorry, Mr. Chairman. We have
connections out here in rural America, so I apologize for that.
That's right. We seem to have a little trouble in the connection. And this is, we'll just wait to see if we get back here, but it's just very glitchy. Why don't we move into the green room? My apologies. Yeah. Why don't we move into the green room? All right. And my producers will take care of it. And we'll work on that. So it always seems to happen with these style guests. What I mean is, like, we're about to cover like some bombshell stuff. We're about to cover like things that the deep state wouldn't want us to. And then we have a connection like this. Klein, we need to get one of those vans that Fox News has. One of those vans that like pull up to someone's house, right? And then they have like a stable connection. We need to get one of those vans. We gotta get more successful. We gotta have a bigger show. Please help us get one of the vans so that this never happens again. And we'll send a van out to the middle of the wherever Rick Crawford is. He is from Arkansas, and I presume perhaps a very rural place in Arkansas. I'm not sure, but it's just the way that it goes. He looked crystal clear when we were getting him ready, just his mic volume, and unfortunately, then it just goes right. Anyhow, Mike Benz will be up, and will be ready to lock in on this topic. So let me tell you what, no matter what, we got fire for all of you and flame for all of you. We hope that we get the chairman back on. I'd love to get his take on all of this. And one other thing, Adam Schiff. We didn't even have the time to like talk about Adam Schiff. This is the compounding news cycle here of leaking classified information. So you have Comey, and then that's locked in with Adam Schiff from yesterday. Here is a quick summary of what Adam Schiff is in hot water over.
Treasonous and illegal. That's how a Democratic whistleblower characterized Adam Schiff, accusing him of greenlighting the leak of classified information to undercut President Trump during the 2017 Russiagate investigation.
The president has already said he wants to see Adam Schiff held accountable for the countless lies he told the American people in relation to the Russiagate scandal.
The whistleblower was a veteran House Intelligence Committee staffer. The FBI summary obtained by Fox says Schiff told aides he would, quote, leak classified information which was derogatory to the president in hopes of scoring an indictment for the commander-in-chief.
It's beyond unseemly. This was just an egregious breach and a really reprehensible act on the part of Adam Schiff.
Schiff's office calls this baseless smears, saying the whistleblower was, quote, not reliable, not credible, and was fired. Schiff was the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee as it probed possible 2016 election interference.
If the Trump campaign or anyone associated with it aided or abetted the Russians, it would not only be a serious crime, it would also represent one of the most shocking betrayals of democracy in history.
Schiff, who led the Democrats' first impeachment of President Trump, now faces an unrelated criminal investigation for alleged mortgage fraud.
Now it looks like Adam Schiff really did a bad thing. They have him.
Democrats say the GOP is trying to shift the narrative.
Look, this is nonsense. This is an effort to change the subject away from the Epstein files.
The FBI summary indicates that Schiff hoped Hillary Clinton would win in 2016. Schiff aspired to run the CIA. Brett?
Schiff aspired to run the CIA. Could you imagine that? Man, we're going to talk about Mike Benz. Talk to Mike Benz in just a moment about Adam Schiff runs CIA. Could you possibly imagine? Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know, man. What do you think? Should we do the show in a suit? Should I be wearing a suit? Everyone's like, hey, yo, you wore a suit to the White House. Well, yeah, I'm not going to Zelensky these guys, right? You don't want to look like a slob. You want to have some respect. But should I wear a suit every single day? I'm not sure. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Should we be wearing suits on this stuff? Should we be wearing suits in this joint? Kind of just like let her rip. Like how I literally wear the same thing every single day. You catch me at the supermarket, you catch me at the grocery store, you catch me at the park with my kids. I'm like wearing the same thing. It's just easy. It's just easy. You know? And what is it? What is it that we're wearing? Well, let me explain. Cozy Earth. Cozy Earth, man. It is so cozy, in fact. I'm wearing their everywhere pant if it gets a little chilly out here. And right now it is scorching hot and humid. You know, you like when your glasses fog up, right? You walk outside. That kind of humid. But the Cozy Earth pant, man, comfort that shows up for me every single day in and day out. And I need that. We show up for you every single day. Cozy Earth has nailed the comfort with their bamboo sheets and their everywhere pants. Next level. It is hot, so their bamboo sheets keep me cool at night. They're temperature regulating and guaranteeing a comfortable night's sleep made from viscous bamboo. Naturally wick away the heat and moisture from your body, keeping you sleeping several degrees cooler. I have to sleep in a cold environment. It just is what it is, man. We run hot around here. If you watch the show, you know that. But I want to be comfortable when I'm out with my kids. My kids are rowdy. They're running around. And this is how we rock. So when you catch me outside, know that I'm just chilling, man. I'm chilling because of Cozy Earth. You should too. Lock in with Cozy Earth and be as comfy as me. Go to CozyEarth.com and use my code Benny for 40% off the softest bedding, bath, and apparel. If you get a post-purchase survey, tell them that you heard about this product from me. CozyEarth.com. Use the code Benny for 40% off. Built for real life. Made to keep up with yours. Cozy Earth. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of some very interesting things that might be very cozy fit for James Comey in his jumpsuit. The Adam Schiff news summary has been wild. I guess we've missed and we'll see. I'm waiting with my producers to check in with me. I guess we've missed our member of Congress. They're still working on it. Come on, boys, let's get cracking. We can't have both guests now. That's crazy. All right. Well, let's go to a member of Congress anyway. Jim Jordan, friend of the show, talking about what Adam Schiff, James Comey, Christopher Wray have done to the FBI. What may happen next? Let's rock and roll.
Yeah, go leak information, staff, and also make sure it's class. I mean, that's how scary, that's how wrong this is. But my big question is, where's Chris Wray? Why didn't we have this information? Why did it take till we get to Director Patel for us to get this information? Why didn't we get this from Chris Wray? The documents we got, it looks like this whistleblower was talking about this over a period of years, FBI doing interviews with this guy, 302s and on, for like several years. Why didn't we know about it? Why did it take Director Patel to bring this forward? Why didn't Chris Wray do that? But I think the other big takeaway is this is a pattern. We all know that they leaked information all the time to undermine the guy we elected president of the United States. Jim Comey leaked his 4 Comey memos. Jim Comey went up to Trump Tower when it was President-elect Trump on January 6, 2017, talked to the president-elect about the dossier that he already knew was false, and then they leaked that information and thereby gave credibility to a document that was baloney. So this is their M.O., and now we've caught him with this whistleblower who says they directly told us to go do what we know they've been doing all along.
Ladies and gentlemen, somebody who is, I don't know, I do say this about the people that I respect so deeply on this program, somebody who's just been professionally right. And I don't know, man, has it been like Mike Davis? Has it been Tom Fitton? Has it been Mike Benz? Who have been the people who've been the most professionally right? Probably those 3 on this program. That is like the champions team of people who have been on this show and have years of sound bites from this program and who have never lied to you and have only ever predicted the future. So, ladies and gentlemen, joining us from the dream team from the 96 Bulls is the great Mike Benz, Executive Director, Foundation for Freedom Online, former State Department cyber employee who could probably talk quite a bit about classified information. Let's go. Hello, Mike. How are you? Are you on critical infrastructure right now?
I am. I'm currently my Wi-Fi is down, so I'm on the phone. But I figured I'd match your fit today. I heard you talking about being in a suit, and I got sad because then I can't copy your fit.
People were like, "Yo, you're in a suit at the White House. We don't even recognize you." And I was like, I'm not going to Zelensky you people. That's what I said. This is what I told everyone. I said, I'm not going to Zelensky. They were all laughing about it.
You clean up well. You look, honestly, you look like you'd make a very good spy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mike. That's the meanest thing you've ever said to me.
No, it's like, I actually saw it and I thought, oh, wow, Andy McCabe really cleaned up well. and then I felt bad about saying things.
You bastard. All right. Well, you know what, man? Nothing but love. Okay, so I don't even know where to begin with this. The top line here is that Comey and Adam Schiff are leaking classified information. So talk me through what should happen here. This has got to be a crime. You say appear on X. Obviously, everybody follow Mike Benz. You already do. Mike Benz is at, you have millions of followers, Mike? Yes, I think so. So everybody follow Mike Benz. He says this has got to be a crime. Talk us through it, Mike. I think it's being laid bare right now. These FBI documents.
The issue is this was never declassified. This was never, these sorts of things really, you saw this a lot during Trump 1. And one of the operative questions here is the statute of limitations. We're now in the year 2025. Much of this deals with, for example, 2017, when Adam Schiff and James Comey were leaking. James Comey was still the FBI director in 2017. I believe the statute of limitations is 5 years for many of these crimes. And so just like James Clapper perjuring himself about domestic bulk collection by the NSA, these sorts of mishandling of classified document crimes tend to have a 5-year statute of limitations. And so you do still have a crime on the books, but a crime that it appears that in this case they may have gotten away with. But this is, you played a clip earlier of Representative Jim Jordan asking why Christopher Wray did not disclose this, why it had to come to FBI Director Kash Patel. And I think everybody knows the reason, which is that Christopher Wray was out to get Donald Trump, that the FBI was completely corrupted under Christopher Wray, and everything that was done from the moment James Comey was replaced with Christopher Wray was simply a continuation, kind of just a shorter, frumpier James Comey put in the FBI stead. In fact, if folks remember, there was an incredible event early on where Christopher Wray should have been sacked within his first few months when Christopher Wray threatened to leave because Trump questioned the intelligence community assessment about Russian interference. This was a pretty shocking moment, I think, in FBI history, where the FBI director said, if the president is going to question the intelligence community, then I don't feel confident leading it. If the president's going to throw us under the bus, well, should have been thrown directly under the bus at that very moment. I think there was probably so much turmoil in those early months of Trump world that getting rid of an FBI director you just installed may have looked bad in the heat of also getting rid of the chief of staff and DHS director. I don't know if there were donor considerations, but whatever it was, keeping Christopher Wray inside your system at the FBI was like keeping a tapeworm inside because, you've got some spare food circulating. It was just
What about the Espionage Act, Mike? What about the Espionage Act? That has a 10-year statute of limitation. What about criminal conspiracy? I mean, I guess some theories that have been posited on this program is that you could argue that there is a criminal conspiracy that is currently ongoing in order to kneecap President Trump.
No, that's right. That's a good point. I mean, certainly Julian Assange was tried under the Espionage Act for far lesser crimes than the people going after him.
Yes, that's a great point. Like, in what world is Julian Assange, and how is this any different? Right? Like, we know we have dead to rights. We had dead to rights. Comey's friend saying that, hey, he gave me a bunch of classified information, and then I gave that to the media. So can you please explain to me how that's any different than them putting Julian Assange, like locking him away?
Right. I mean,
decades.
If a security clearance was granted to the New York Times reporters on a selective basis to access it, and then describe the document without revealing sources and methods, I'm trying to think of what the defense might be other than that. The only other question is we are still relying on a kind of anonymous whistleblower, and these, there is the question. There's always the question of the credibility of the whistleblower, especially in these type of situations.
This is an interview with Daniel Richmond. So this is the FBI's interview with him, and he's just straight up admitting it. Yeah, Comey gave me classified information. Like, and I leaked it to the New York Times, and he's
no, thanks
saying
for
that was the op.
Right. Well, then I guess if that would come down to being him on the stand versus Yeah, I do think that you have the criminal conspiracy play here around James Comey for other crimes related to the intelligence community assessment. Even if this were not tried as a one-off crime, I think you still have James Comey, John Brennan, Hillary Clinton, and potentially Barack Obama up for the grand jury indictment referral. That we know that currently grand jury is being arranged in order to determine criminal wrongdoing in the Russiagate affair. Certainly, these kind of leaks, if not deemed criminal unto themselves, could be entered to show the sort of rank partisan hackery that went into the intelligence community assessment itself, given it was so close on the heels of it.
Wouldn't it be nice to, like, even if like the process just is the punishment, it'd just be very nice to adjudicate this in the public arena for people to just understand how slimy and criminal it all is. And I guess that's what we're seeing with these emails, document leaks. It's enraging that that we had control of power when you were working for the Trump administration. And I know that you only worked for a short time period, and like it's not like anyone was asking you, but I wish they had. But it's so frustrating, it's so maddening that all of this evidence just was sitting there, laid bare. The critical infrastructure emails, the Russiagate stuff, Hillary Clinton, all of it was just sitting there. And this, by the way, is this is connected. The Adam Schiff leaking operation, it's all connected to the same people at Julian Smith. It's wild that it just sat there for so long, locked in a vault. It's maddening.
Well, I think it's what everyone suspected. Everyone knew that the FBI was corrupt under Trump 1. We knew it in the White House. As a civilian, you could easily surmise it. But there was the issue, which was that Trump won, perhaps because there was not as many Trump allies in Congress or as strong a Trump institutional donor base across the private sector. But for whatever reason, Trump could not clean house at his own Justice Department, at his own FBI, at his own CIA. I don't know if that was for the same reason that he felt unwilling to pull the trigger about going after Hillary Clinton and the like, but certainly Trump too is much more unchained, and I think much more willing to disregard the intelligence community. For a long time, Trump refused the presidential daily briefing, refused to receive intelligence briefings from the Biden intelligence folks during the transition period, doesn't trust them at all. I think there was a point when Trump became president, because remember, this is happening. These revelations refer to early 2017. These were Trump's first months as president of the United States. I think at that point he still assumed that when a general walks into the White House with enough decorations on his suit, his word actually means something.
Yeah,
I think Trump learned a lot of very hard lessons during that period. It was James Comey who set up General Flynn, and then bragged about it after Comey got fired. Said that we would never have attempted something like that under a Hillary Clinton presidency, but we figured Trump was green and we could get away with it. And you even had the FBI agents saying, is our goal here to get him fired or to get him to perjure himself? Basically, is our goal here to entrap him or to run a domestic political operation to get him fired? I mean, the idea that the FBI would plot to get a political appointee fired, and that itself is not a crime. That was known years ago that James Comey pulled that operation. That's a total violation of the FBI charter. It's a complete inversion of the democratic process itself to have a domestic spy agency plot a political black op in order to destroy the employment of a political appointee. But I mean, the FBI was the house of crimes under James Comey. I would be hard pressed to think that Pam Bondi can't find one. Here's one.
This was my favorite post of yours ever. And it's I can't read it on this family show, but since it all ties together, and so many of these people, you know, Julia, like we know who Julia is. So many of these people are, you know, Julia was the foreign policy advisor for Hillary Clinton. She works actually with like Adam Schiff's team. All of these leakers, all these Russiagate leakers, they're all in league together. It's all an entire rat's nest. But she recommended the critical infrastructure lie that was, of course, the predicate for your entire career, Mike.
Yeah.
And so you've seen it now laid bare. And I have a couple of questions about this, but what was it? What was this like to actually see the original source documents for the terms that have haunted your dreams, Mike? Critical infrastructure.
My mind was completely warped for about 3 days after seeing this. It's because of how cavalier it is. I mean, so that message itself is a total stunner. I think it's probably one of the most stunning things we've learned in 2025 with classified documents being leaked. That single paragraph had Hillary Clinton approving a plan to set up Trump as being vilified by Russia in July, months before the Russiagate hoax was orchestrated through the Intelligence Committee assessment in January 2017. That we now saw sort of the source documents for John Brennan's handwritten notes on August 3rd, 2016, where Brennan briefed Obama and James Comey on Hillary Clinton approving a plan to vilify Donald Trump in a scheme alleging Russian interference by the Russian security services. We now know that it was that classified annex that John Brennan was referring to. So the CIA saw that. We saw in that same paragraph that CrowdStrike would provide the media, which is exactly what was done. CrowdStrike is not a cybersecurity company. They're a cyber hoax for hire company. You pay them money and they tell you whoever you want the media to print as hacking an election or hacking solar winds or hacking anyone in the world. See, a lot of this cybersecurity attribution game is just a fugazi. There's no real way to know for sure with so many of these things. You can simply have a false attribution. You can simply have a VPN or leave fingerprints from whoever you want. The CIA famously did this itself with its Pocket Putin false attribution guide, which was leaked by Julian Assange in Vault 7. And CrowdStrike is a Dmitry Alperovitch joint. That's the Atlantic Council. It's the same George Soros NATO network. But that email in July had them saying we have no direct evidence. Hillary Clinton just approved this plan to frame Trump as being set up as being helped by the Russians, but we have no evidence of this. So CrowdStrike will come in and provide the media, not even provide the proof, provide the media, give the media a story. And then the following email says later in time, the FBI will come and pour oil on it.
That's what it said. We read him live on. It's like it's so belligerent, Mike. It's so belligerent, Mike.
And then what they say in the middle of it, though, which I think was not caught by many people, was that say something like critical infrastructure is a menace to elections under Russian threat. And it's such a glib statement. Say something like critical infrastructure, when critical infrastructure was exactly the phrase that was rolled out. And then it was the Russian attack on critical infrastructure, which never existed, and they knew it never existed, which was used as the justification to effectively federalize elections by having DHS declare elections itself as critical infrastructure. This was the reason you had CISA set up. This was the reason you had DHS control over electronic voting machines, while DHS simultaneously deemed itself the Ministry of Truth to censor anyone who questioned the electronic voting machines that DHS took control of. It was this critical infrastructure hoax that resulted in the entire censorship industrial complex in the United States, which started off in DHS before it spread throughout the whole of government in the Biden administration. I would not be here were it not for this hoax itself. But their defense, what you saw happen in the past week since this came out, is they said, well, this is from Leonard Bernardo, who was the Open Society Institute Eurasia Center head, which is just too perfect. It was I've been saying all along, this whole thing is the great world continent that has been the focus of U.S. foreign policy since the early 1900s and the Alfred Milner plan. But there's $75 trillion worth of natural resources in Eurasia. So everyone from BlackRock to the George Soros Management Fund to London and Wall Street has made billions and billions of dollars of bets on Eurasia being folded entirely into NATO, into the Western civil and political and military control. And Trump represented a threat to that plan's completion. That was under maximum pursuit by Obama, by George Bush, by Bill Clinton, all the way through the Cold War. And so the fact that it was the Open Society Institute Eurasia Center, that it was the George Soros Eurasia. Now, George Soros met with Hillary Clinton. You can pull this up in August 2016. Both he and the senior head of the Eurasia Center. If you look up George Soros, Hillary Clinton, 2016 in August, George Soros is a hedge fund with a civil society institution attached, just like Harvard is a hedge fund with a university attached. George Soros has billions of dollars of investments in Eurasia, and then he meets with the Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton. Here it is. And you'll see if you just run a Control F for Eurasia, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So they would be in position to know. They were literally meeting Soros with his billions of dollars of investments that depend on U.S. foreign policy, buttering his bread, setting up those investments to become profitable because the Secretary of State gets to control all policy in the region. And so it was that exact center who would know. Now, their defense in the past week has been, well, Leonard Bernardo said he did not recall writing that email, and because it was hacked by Russia, we're told, there's no proof that he actually said this, even though it's in these emails. Well, riddle me this, New York Times. If Leonard Bernardo didn't write it, then how was this hacker able to perfectly predict exactly what CrowdStrike would do, or that the DNC would even employ CrowdStrike? How were they able to predict exactly what the FBI did? Did this hacker also hack the brain of James Comey? How did this hacker predict exactly what the Department of Homeland Security? Did he hack DHS Secretary Jed Johnson's brain? Did this hacker hack the DNC, CrowdStrike, the CIA, the FBI, Barack Obama? This is the most clairvoyant hacker in human history. No, it was obviously foreknowledge by the Open Society Institute, by George Soros, by James Comey, by John Brennan, by Hillary Clinton, and they got caught flat busted and classified this thing for 9 years because of how damning this thing is.
So I have to ask, where does this go now for George Soros? You say that Hillary Clinton is guilty of a criminal conspiracy. Maybe you can touch on that. But what does this look like for the George Soros tie-in, which is, while some may have suspected it, Mike, is now in the black and white? The Open Society Foundation was critical to this. And more importantly, we've had members of Congress and senators on our program saying, well, that makes a lot of sense. And here's why. Because somebody has to pay for it all. You know, it's not easy to employ Christopher Steele. It's not cheap to get a bunch of Russian spies to write disinformation on Trump. This kind of operation requires a ton of lawyers. It requires a lot of people to like go walk these documents into the FBI and into the CIA. Somebody had to pay for it. And those in the know say it was George Soros that was actually funding all of this. What kind of culpability does he have?
Well, unfortunately, you don't see anything in here that ties George Soros. This is Leonard Bernardo, which is a George Soros underling. You know, the Open Society Foundation is obviously run by Soros, and its Eurasia Center under it. You don't have in this document trail a reference that Leonard Bernardo, for example, knew because of George Soros or George Soros arranged. But I think there are other methods of accountability here. Now, it is also quite telling. I believe it was Judge Beryl Howell that Durham, I believe, attempted to actually run down the Leonard Bernardo leads and to get access to Leonard Bernardo's Gmail, I believe it was, to his personal emails and to his Open Society Institute emails, because I believe John Durham interviewed Leonard Bernardo about this, and that's why Leonard Bernardo, that quote that I mentioned, him saying that I don't recall writing this email. Of course, the New York Times, I believe, misreported that quote and said that Leonard Bernardo denied ever writing it, and of course, that's not a denial. To say that I don't recall is the great American catch-all that allows you to deny knowledge of doing it, but without perjuring yourself, because you can never prove that the person did or didn't remember.
What I'm saying, Mike, is why can't we get a subpoena? We did get a subpoena, actually. Well, like we have Tim Burchett was on the show saying, no, let's subpoena, and then Tim Burchett subpoenaed that afternoon.
Yeah.
It's not up to him, it's up to Chairman Comer.
Right. Well, this is what I'm saying is I believe that there was a court fight about this already with Durham, and that a judge I believe appeared to block the FBI being able to get a court-ordered subpoena of Leonard Bernardo's emails in order to actually validate it, because that was, like I was saying, this they've been allowed to deny that these emails are real or that they really wrote those emails, because the FBI has been unable to get access through a court to the actual underlying emails, which is another one of these. You run into this, DC court problem, the same one that the Trump admin has experienced in so many other cases. But I think if a fresh case were to be brought, particularly if it can be done outside of the DC jurisdiction, if you can get this in front of a Florida jury because of the nexus to Mar-a-Lago, or the nexus to individuals who were tracked or surveilled or who were subjected to this conspiracy outside of the 95% Democrat District of Columbia, I think that you would probably get a more favorable ruling.
So you could, but James Comer doesn't need that. James Comer can go subpoena George Soros right now, should he?
Well, that is one of the questions: is how would obviously, to
James Comer doesn't need like some judge to sign off on it. He's the authority. He's the constitutional authority. Go.
Yeah, to the extent that that's enforceable.
Happy 95th birthday, George Soros. Right?
But there's also lots of other things that can be done. Obviously, I support the maximum amount of pressure that can be exerted through Congress on this corrupt cabal here. One of the things that I'm very focused on is that I believe that we need declassifications beyond just what's happening at the FBI layer and the ODNI layer. We need them at the USAID and the State Department layer, as well as the U.S. Institute of Peace, which Darren Beattie just became the acting president of. George Soros has made his whole career on skating on the back of the State Department. This is why he met with Hillary Clinton in August 2016, around exactly at the time that these emails came out, and that exactly the time that Hillary Clinton made her pivot, her first speech in August 2016, alleging Trump being backed by Russia, right as she's meeting with Putin.
I can tell you, Mike, Trump is about ready to come out at the Kennedy Center But he hasn't come out yet. I want to show the preview shot here, ladies and gentlemen. You can see that everyone's sort of getting seated right now. I just saw Lindsey Graham and Susie Wiles come in. Yeah, and maybe Pam Bondi. So it's going to be one hell of an announcement here. Mike, I want to go very quickly here. You have a post up saying Hillary Clinton is absolutely guilty of a criminal conspiracy to defraud the American taxpayers and intel community and so on. How would that prosecution go? Is that like too much of a pipe dream to even dream about? Dare a boy dream, Mike?
I'm dreaming right now. I think that Trump was merciful and naive and innocent when he first became president in 2017 after saying that Hillary Clinton would be in jail. And then Hillary Clinton campaigned on putting Trump in jail. They nearly did. They shot him in the face. They hit him with 91 felonies, 1,000 years in prison if Trump didn't win the election. And now, they're dead to rights here. Hillary Clinton clearly approved this plan to falsify information in order to portray Donald Trump as being backed by Russia, and then conspired with the head of the Central Intelligence Agency, the head of the FBI, potentially the former president of the United States himself. I don't think you're going to have riots in the streets if John Brennan and Hillary Clinton are arrested. I think that Hillary Clinton is not exactly a beloved figure on the left. I think that I could see there being a tremendous amount of civil disturbance if Barack Obama is indicted, even though he looks guilty as well.
Yeah.
But I think that, and then you also don't
also has immunity. He also has immunity. Hillary doesn't.
Right, but I think that you don't even need. I think that having Hillary Clinton and John Brennan indicted for this, and simply allege the conspiracy that they falsified information conducted fraud to falsify intelligence in order to run this gambit. And then their only defense is that they really believe their own BS. I mean, that's the only defense that they would have. You have an agreement and an affirmative act in furtherance. So you have the two necessary legal components in order to bring the indictment. Their only defense is that, well, we really believe that Russia, it wasn't, we didn't know it to be, even though it was false, we didn't know it to be false at the time. And I think that's belied by several things. We have the circumstantial evidence around intent from these emails in the classified annex, the emails in John Brennan's handwritten notes. But they didn't. This was the magic behind the Trump prosecution. They never had a intent for Trump to commit crimes, but they charged him anyway. This Justice Department has, if that's rule of law, then it has to be brought against Hillary Clinton and John Brennan too.
Thank you, Mike. Perfect timing. Here we go. President Trump. Godspeed, Mike. Everyone follow Mike.
And we'll make it better than it ever was, frankly. It'll be something that people are going to be very proud of. Along with, in the bigger picture, a place called Washington, D.C. That is the bigger one, and we'll talk about that in a little while. But let's talk about right now the Kennedy Center, and I'm delighted to be here as we officially announce the incredibly talented artists who will be celebrated later this year at the 2025 Kennedy Center Honors. It's going to be a big evening. I've been asked to host. I said, I'm the president of the United States. Are you fools asking me to do that? Sir, you'll get much higher ratings. I said, I don't care. I'm president of the United States. I won't do it. They said, please. And then Susie Wiles said to me, sir, I'd like you to host. I said, okay, Susie, I'll do it. That's the power she's got. But I just, so I have agreed to host. Do you believe what I have to do? And I didn't want to do it, okay? They're going to say, he insisted. I did not insist. But I think it will be quite successful, actually. It's been a long time. I used to host the Apprentice finales, and we did rather well with that. So I think we're going to do very well because we have some great honorees, some really great ones. Since 1978, the Kennedy Center Honors have been among the most prestigious awards in the performing arts. I wanted one. I was never able to get one. This year, it's true, actually. I would have taken it if they would have called me. I waited and waited and waited. And I said, the hell with it. I'll become chairman. And I'll give myself an honor. Maybe I'm going to honor, next year we'll honor Trump, okay? This year, the board has selected a truly exceptional class of honorees. I mean, really exceptional. First is country music star, actor, and producer George Strait. Great. Over an extraordinary 4-decade career, George has sold more than 120 million records worldwide, amassed 60 #1 hits, wow, and produced 33 platinum certified albums, more than any other living American. That is amazing. He's believed by millions of people to just be as good as you can get, and he's beloved by hundreds of millions of people all over the world. He's really something, and they call him the king of country, and we know him very well, George Strait. Okay. Please. Oh, it looks nice. You're a good-looking guy. I hope he still looks like that. Second is actor, singer, philanthropist, and star of the Broadway stage. One of my favorite talents. I think he's one of the greatest talents I've ever actually seen. I've always said, and just so we don't get in trouble, I'll say among the greatest artists in the world are the Broadway London actors, back and forth. That's all they want to do, is they want to do Broadway and they want to do London. They want to do 8 shows a week, including matinee on Wednesday. And if you said make a movie, they can't even think about it. If you say go on television, they don't want to. All they want to do is be on the stage, the live stage, and it's amazing. But I've always said that the most talented people, and this man may be the most of all. Michael Crawford is being honored. Michael was born in England in 1942. He made his Broadway debut in 1967. I was there. I shouldn't say that, but I was there. Seems like a long time ago. And he became an international sensation in the 1980s for his original portrayal of the Phantom of the Opera, one of the greatest ever, 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 ever. You don't see him like that very often. Winning him the esteemed Tony Award for Best Actor in a Musical. He's won so many awards. Michael is truly a generational talent, had a voice that was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. There's never, I don't know, it's Luciano Pavarotti had a very different voice. The power was incredible, magnificent. Michael had a different kind of a voice. These are just unbelievable talents. But Michael is very special and one of the greatest roles in the history of Broadway. And nobody did it like him. Michael Crawford, thank you very much. Great guy. Next, we look forward to honoring 3-time Oscar nominee, Golden Globe Award winner, an action movie icon, and a friend of mine. He's a very unique man. He's somebody that doesn't do these things. I said, I wonder if he'll accept, because some people don't really want to be honored. They don't care. But he was very honored to be honored, I will tell you. He's a very special guy. A real talent, never been given the credit for the talent. There was nobody else could have done the roles that he did like he did. I'm not even close, and they've tried and they didn't work out too well. His name is Sylvester Stallone. So it's very few, almost if any, people that could have taken a name and made it so incredible, like Rocky, Rambo, Creed, and others. But think of it, Rocky, Rambo, if you did one, you're good. You do two. And I'll never forget, I was a young guy and I went to see a thing called Rambo, and it had just come out. I didn't know anything about it, but I was in a movie theater, like we used to go to movie theaters a lot. And I said, this movie is phenomenal. What the heck? And that turned out to be a monster. Rocky is Rocky. I mean, the way that happened, you know, Sly had no money, nothing, and he went around, and everybody wants to do a boxing movie. It's the most, probably more than any other type of character, boxing, always boxing. It's so great. And there's rarely been anything like this one. John Voight did a great one, as you know. Champ, great. I think that was right there, too. John Voight's a phenomenal person, phenomenal actor. But Sly came in and he had no money. He wrote a script along with thousands of other people writing scripts on a boxer. And for some reason, a studio picked up this and liked it. And Sly he's in an old car that he came in from Brooklyn or someplace in New York, but I think Brooklyn. It barely made it to California. He was sleeping in the car. I mean, he had nothing. And he wanted control over who the actor was going to be, because he said it can't be successful if you're going to pick a movie actor with a bad build, okay? A nice face, but a bad body. And he said, I can't have these guys, because he's a tough cookie, and he knew exactly what it took. He knew what a boxer's body was. So they brought him one, and I won't tell you who it was, but it was a big name, but the chest wasn't exactly what you need. One shot, and your heart would pop out. That wasn't too good. Then he did another one. He was fat, sloppy, but had a good face. Then he did another one and another one and another one. And he turned it down. He wouldn't take $1 million. He wouldn't do it. And it turned out that when they saw him, they said, you'd be actually pretty good for this role. And he had never done this before, anything like it. But think of it, he turned down $1 million. He had nothing. He refused to let somebody else play. He didn't want to play it. He wasn't original. He did it as a writer. But he ended up playing it because he couldn't find anybody else that fit the role. And who knew what would have happened? He's become a legend of the silver screen, a true legend, and he's a great guy. He's a little bit tough, a little bit different, I will tell you. He's a little tough guy. But he's a phenomenal person with a phenomenal wife and family. Incredible wife, incredible family. His film's grossing more than $7.5 billion, which is either a record or very close to it. I can't imagine anybody doing more. If you add up Rambo and Rocky and these others, I can't imagine anybody doing much more. 7.5 billion worldwide over the course of 6 decades. And Sly is a pillar of the really American pop culture and a Hollywood superstar like few others. And one of the biggest names on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. In fact, the only one that's a bigger name on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, they say, is a guy named Donald Trump. I'm on the Hollywood Walk of Fame too, if you can believe that one. But he's amazing. He's really amazing. And he's actually a great actor. Fourth will be together celebrating one of the most revered singers of the American disco era, Gloria Gaynor. Best known for her chart-topping 1978 hit, I Will Survive. Gloria won the 1980 Grammy for Best Disco Recording, and her song was inducted into the National Recording Registry in 2016. 4 decades later, Gloria won a second Grammy in 2020 for her gospel album Testimony, which is incredible. Truly a historic achievement, not only in terms of the years that have gone by to be great that long, but to have the two top of anything in that span of time, and with that kind of period between, is pretty amazing. But I will say that I Will Survive is an unbelievable song. I've heard it, like everyone else here, thousands of times. And it's one of those few that get better every time you hear it. And nobody can sing it like her. And that's an honor. So, Gloria Gaynor, thank you. Thank you very much. And finally, we'll be honoring one of the greatest rock bands of all time, Kiss. So KISS was formed in 1973 in New York City by founding band members and incredible people, by the way. Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Ace Frehley, and Peter Criss. KISS became a global phenomenon, sold more than 100 million records worldwide, and produced 30 gold albums and lots of other things they produced. They made a fortune. And they're great people, and they deserve it, and they work hard, and they're still working hard, and it's an honor to present KISS. Thank you very much. Got it? Yeah. Thank you. And they're going to do something very special. KISS is going to be here on a little bit before the show. I think they're going to do something very special. We're going to have a good time. The 48th Kennedy Center honorees are outstanding people, standing group, incredible. We can't wait to celebrate the Kennedy Center honors. It'll be in December. It'll be on CBS. In a few short months since I became chairman of the board of the Kennedy Center, we have completely reversed the decline of this cherished national institution. It was being run down. Money wasn't being spent properly. They were building things they shouldn't have built that nobody wanted instead of taking care of the great gem that it is. You look at the marble, look at the quality of the marble, and the things that with a little fix up and a little work, we can make it unbelievable. These columns, when you see them the next time, they'll be magnificent. I mean, we have some great plans for this. The bones are so good. The bones of a building. If you don't have the bones, you might as well forget it. I'm working in another building, a thing called the White House. We're fixing it up so beautifully. It needed it. It's been many, many years since it's been properly taken care of. It's incredible. One of the great places of the world. Maybe, I mean, truly, to me, is there anything else even close? But we're doing that and doing some other things. And we're going to also fix up a place called Washington, D.C. We're going to make it so beautiful again. We're going to be redoing the parks, redoing the grass. You know, grass is a lifetime, like people have a lifetime. And the lifetime of this grass has long been gone. When you look at the parks where the grass is old, tired, exhausted, we're going to redo the grass with the finest grasses. I know a lot about grass because I own a lot of golf courses. And if you don't have good grass, you're not in business very long, Lindsey Graham. By the way, you have very good poll numbers, Lindsey. I just saw. Congratulations. But a few short months ago, I became chairman of the Kennedy Center, and we completely reversed it. We reversed what was happening. We ended the woke political programming, and we're restoring the Kennedy Center as the premier venue for performing arts anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world. This has the potential to be anywhere in the world. We're going to make it something that people can't even believe. We have some unbelievable plans. And ultimately, it's about the talent you get, though. You know, you can have a beautiful building, you can have nice marble walls, you can have nicely done columns, as I was saying, but if you don't have the talent on the stage, and we're going to get the best talent in the world. To that end, the world-renowned musical Les Mis had a phenomenal 5-week sold-out run this summer, beat projected revenues by 35%, and we've raised over $10 million in private funds from a lot of generous donors, and we closed the $26 million budget shortfall that they had for before we got here. And with the help of Congress, we secured the critical funding necessary to rebuild the building, and we're going to get all brand new, highest level seats, magnificent seats, and it's going to be all new. We could have taken the existing ones and do a little paint job, a little fabric, but it's not the same thing. So we'll be taking out next season. All of the seats will be taken out. The room is being completely rebuilt. And I just want to thank the Republicans in the Senate, headed by Lindsey. In that case, Lindsey was she's a big fan of this building. And they got a record $257 million that's going to go toward renovations that the building really needs. And all of the exterior is going to be incredible. It's going to be exciting. So I thank you very much, and thank all of your Republican senators. I don't think we had too many Democrat votes, probably. You never have. We don't have Democrats voting even for crime. But I shouldn't make this political because they made the Academy Awards political and they went down the tubes. So they'll say, Trump made it political. But I think if we make it our kind of political, we'll go up, okay? Let's see if I'm right about that. But I want to thank the executive director for an incredible job. He's done great. He's been with me for just about the beginning. And everything he's touched has been good. He was on high intelligence. He worked in low intelligence and high intelligence. He did better with the high intelligent people. But he's been fantastic. He's the executive director, Rick Grinnell, for his work. Thank you very much, Rick. Unbelievable job. And as well as Lindsey and all the people that helped us in Congress, I want to thank, and the Senate has been incredible. By the way, Leader Thune has been unbelievable, and Speaker Mike Johnson. These are great people. What we're doing with the great big beautiful bill is you're going to see a whole different country. You're seeing it already. We're coming in where trillions of dollars is coming in from tariffs from all over the world, from countries that took advantage of our country. They thought we were children. They took advantage of us for decades, and now the money is flowing to us. And we've become the hottest country anywhere in the world. But the Kennedy Center board members, many of whom I knew, and many of whom I put on the board, and it's as good a board as I've ever seen. And on the board also, and some people that are doing an incredible job. One in particular is Attorney General Pam Bondi. The job she's doing is incredible. Thank you very much. Long beyond the Kennedy Center. The Kennedy Center is the easy part. She's incredible, and you're going to see a big change in Washington crime stats very soon. Not the stats that they gave, because they turned out to be a total fraud. The real stats, the stats went through the roof. You know, they had a man that was forced to put up stats like they were doing better. They're not doing better. Crime is the worst it's ever been, but it started as of about yesterday. It started you see a big change, and people are feeling safe already. I've had so many calls. Thank you, sir. Thank you. They were afraid to walk out. They're not afraid anymore. And this will be like the border. We started off with millions and millions of people coming in from all over the world, gang members and people from jails. They were unloading their jails into our country. All over the world they were coming. Drug dealers. They came from Africa. They came from Asia. They came from South America, Venezuela in particular. They were coming in. Trinidad, and the toughest people you've ever seen. And by the millions. And for the last 3 months, we had 0, 0, and 0. We had 0 people come in for 3 months. They respect our country again. That's the other thing. All over the world, our country is respected again. So I also want to thank the Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, who's fantastic. She's done an incredible job. And Sergio Gore for the job he's done with personnel. Thank you very much, Sergio. Fantastic. In the coming months, we'll fully renovate the dated and the infrastructure of the building and make the Kennedy Center a crown jewel of American arts and culture once again. I think we'll bring it to a higher level than it ever hit. Actually, it hit a certain level, but we're going to bring it to a higher level than it ever hit. We have the right location, and soon we will be a crime-free area. This is going to be a crime-free area, by the way. You'll be able to go out. People tell me they can't run anymore. They're just afraid. And they'll be running again. We're going to have a crime-free. It's a big statement because if one thing happens all year, Pam, you better be good, because they'll say Trump did not fulfill this. One person gets a little injured by somebody, they'll say Trump did not fulfill his promise. No, we're going to be essentially crime-free. This is going to be a beacon, and it's going to also serve as an example of what can be done. We have to get rid of this cashless bail nonsense. If you look at New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, which is so badly run. Los Angeles, they can't get the houses. They can't get the people their permits to build their houses. They're trying to rebuild their houses from the ridiculous fire that should have never allowed to have taken place. They should have had the water coming down from the Pacific Northwest, but they didn't do that. But they can't get the permits for the people that want to build their houses. But I want to thank Lee Zeldin because the federal government has gotten all of their permits, which are much more difficult permits actually, and had them literally within 30 days after the fire. Everybody had their permit, but you don't have the city and state permits. They got to get going. The governor and the mayor have to get going. It will just be a matter of time that we're going to do something that's going to be incredible. We're going to use the Kennedy Center as a big focus of it. And that's the 250th anniversary celebration that we're having. So it's 250 years. So we have the Olympics, we have the World Cup, and we have the 250th anniversary celebration, all in this administration. And it's an honor that we were able to not be allowed to do what we were illegally and what we were supposed to do. And that was, we had a great election in 2020. We won the election by a lot, but it was a rigged election, and we had to wait 4 years, and we waited 4 years. And it's interesting because I got the Olympics and I got the World Cup. I can't claim that I got the 250th. That one's a big one, but I happen to be here. But I got the Olympics, I got the World Cup. And I said, the shame of it is that I'm not going to be president when it happens. And lo and behold, look what happens. We have some bad things took place, and now I'm going to be president for the Olympics. I'll be president for the World Cup, and the 250th is going to be maybe more exciting than both. It's a great celebration of our country. We're going to be using this building for a lot of the celebration having to do with 250 years. But as I said earlier, I'm determined to make Washington, D.C. safe, clean, and beautiful again. It's going to take place very rapidly. Be prepared. And a big part of that's going to include the Kennedy Center. So thank you very much. And I want to thank everybody for helping us. This is mostly the group right here they're young, they're smart, they're ambitious, they want my job. Someday one of them will probably have it. But we have a great group of people that are putting this together, and they're also helping us with Washington, D.C. We're going to make Washington beautiful. We're going to redo roads. We're going to redo the medians, the pavers, and the medians all throughout the city. We're going to take all the graffiti off. We're going to have to remove the tents and the people that are living in our parks. We're going to be redoing the parks, the grasses and all. We're going to be going to Congress for a relatively small amount of money, and Lindsey and the Republicans are going to be approving it. I don't know about the Democrats. They don't approve anything. It's amazing. It's like they just don't want to vote for anything. They've got the yips, you know, in golf they say the yips. The Democrats are afraid to do anything because they don't want to be criticized. But fighting crime is a good thing. We have to explain. We're going to fight crime. That's a good thing. Already they're saying he's a dictator. The place is going to hell, and we've got to stop it. So instead of saying he's a dictator, they should say we're going to join him and make Washington safe. But they say he's a dictator, and then they end up getting mugged, and but the stats are very bad. But we're going to I think we'll actually get Democrat support. I really believe they can't do this one too. It's they talk about 80-20 issues. But I think many of those 80-20 issues, like men and women's sports, I think it's 97-3, not 80-20. And I think crime is maybe 100-0. So I think we may get very well some Democrat support, but I hope so. But even if we don't, we have the majority. So we're going to vote it in as Republicans, and we're going to do something. And that's going to serve as a beacon for New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and other places all over the country. Our whole country is going to be so different and so great. Going to be clean and safe and beautiful, and people are going to love our flag more than they've ever loved it, and we're going to do a great job. So I want to congratulate all the nominees. They're unbelievable people, and we're going to have a tremendous day in December, and that evening is going to be special. Some really special people and real talent. Do you have any questions? Yes, please.
Hi, sir. There's new reporting that the Russians have hacked into some computer systems that manage U.S. federal court documents. I wonder if you've seen this reporting and if you plan to bring it up with Putin when you see him later in the week.
I guess I could. Are you surprised? Are you surprised? They hack in. That's what they do. They're good at it. We're good at it. We're actually better at it. But no, I have heard about it. I have heard about it. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You mentioned congressional Democrats. You have not yet met with Democratic leadership, but there's a funding deadline at the end of September. Do you plan to meet with Leader Schumer and Leader Jeffries to discuss that situation?
Well, I will, I guess, but it's almost a waste of time to meet because they never approve anything. If we want money to fight crime, if we want money to do only good things, just good things. Let's not even talk about controversial. They don't want to meet about anything. They really are. They're stuck. They don't know what to do. They have probably more, I would say more than half are sane, but they are led by insane people. And the kind of things that they're pushing are not something. We have a communist running for the mayor of New York, and I wish him well. I may have to deal with him. I mean, it's not even conceivable. It's not even conceivable that could happen. And maybe he won't win, but he won the primaries by quite a bit. You know, shockingly, he won the primaries. So, and you see some of the people supporting him that truly don't believe what he's espousing. So, I mean, we will meet, but nothing's going to come out of the meeting. But here's the advantage we have is that we just passed the great big beautiful bill that had all the biggest tax cuts in history. No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security. Think of it. Think of that for the seniors. No tax on overtime. And all sorts of things. You go out, buy a car, you can deduct the interest payment. If you borrow money, you can deduct the interest payment from your taxes. So many things. But the biggest thing is, from a business standpoint, deductions. You know, that was tremendous. It's going to, our country is roaring. Our businesses are, you're going to see some numbers in 12 months when these factories are open. You know, we're opening up factories all over the world, all over the country, but that's all spreading to, I think we're spreading the wealth all over the world, if you want to know the truth. But we're opening them in this country at a level that we've never seen before. We've never seen. So they just don't want to prove anything. They just, we meet with them and they say, as Nancy Reagan said, just say no. They go, just say no. They're afraid to approve anything. If we say, we want to stop crime in this country, or as an example, bail, we want to make it so that people, if they murder somebody, they're in jail. They don't get out on no bail. They say, we don't want that. We want people to murder somebody and they immediately are released and they go out and murder somebody else. It's a big problem, a tremendous problem. By the way, we're going to go for statutes in DC and then ultimately for the rest of the country where that's not going to be allowed, because it was when they did the cashless bail thing that the numbers really started going up. In this city, in New York, in Chicago, in Los Angeles, no matter where they have it, the numbers went through the roof. So we're going to meet with them, of course. I'd like to meet with them. We're going to tell them all these good things, and they're going to tell us no. And then we're going to go out and we're going to vote it in by the Republicans, because I don't believe that anybody is capable of making a deal with these people. They have gone crazy. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Your federalization of the police has a 30-day limit unless Congress acts to extend it. Are you talking to Congress about extending it, or do you believe 30 days is sufficient?
Well, if it's a national emergency, we can do it without Congress, but we expect to be to Congress before Congress very quickly. And again, we think the Democrats will not do anything to stop crime, but we think the Republicans will do it almost unanimously. So we're going to need a crime bill that we're going to be putting in. And it's going to pertain initially to DC. It's almost, we're going to use it as a very positive example. And we're going to be asking for extensions on that, long-term extensions, because you can't have 30 days. 30 days that's by the time you do it. We're going to have this in good shape. And don't forget, in the border, everyone said it would take years and you'd have to go back to Congress. I never went to Congress for anything. I just said, close the border. And they closed the border. And that was the end of it. I didn't go back to Congress. We're going to do this very quickly, but we're going to want extensions. I don't want to call national emergency. If I have to, I will. But I think the Republicans in Congress will approve this pretty much unanimously. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would you encourage members of the press to do ride-alongs with the DC police to
understand how serious this crime issue
Sure.
is?
It's okay to me if they want to do it. We're going to work with the DC police. They have a lot of very good people in there. Not all, but a lot of very good, very, very professional. And, we have a big force. I think they said 3,500. They're always asking the mayor, who's a very nice woman, but got to do the job. We've worked with the mayor for 6 months, and she's been here for many years. And the numbers are worse than they ever are. Don't let anyone tell you they're not. And the whole statistical charts that they made, the whole thing is a rigged deal. They got rid of the guy because he didn't want to do the numbers the way they wanted to, and they put their own numbers out. They said it's the best in 20 years. No, it's the worst in 20 years. But we're going to be very open about what we're doing. So if the media wants to ride with police, if they want to do it, if they feel it's safe, that would be okay. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Sir, with President Zelensky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mary Margaret with Daily Wire. 2 questions on DC, if that's okay. How do you feel about Mayor Bowser's level of cooperation and her choosing to advocate for DC's statehood right now? And
well, the statehood, let me do that one first. Statehood is ridiculous. We want to straighten the place out. Statehood's ridiculous. It's unacceptable. It's the Democrats want it because the Democrats have, about 95% in this little area. Even I didn't get it very much. They want that. They want to pick up 2 senators, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And that's the least of the reasons why, by the way, but that's one of the reasons why. What we want to do is make Washington, D.C. the greatest, most beautiful, safest capital anywhere in the world. And that's going to happen. I mentioned the word bones before. The bones here, the bones, we have the greatest bones. When you look at that Supreme Court building, I think it's one of the most beautiful buildings. When you look at some of the buildings here, it's so magnificent and everything's good, but it's just dirty and not properly maintained. It's not taken care of. Potholes in the roads. All of it's going to happen very quickly. We're going to seek a relatively small amount of money for fix-up, and we're going to put it out to bid. And we have great contractors here, great road builders, everything. And we're not ripping roads apart so they're closed for 4 years as they redo the concrete bases. And you don't need that. We need a beautiful topping by a very talented asphalt type person, somebody that does the job. We go out, when I get contractors, I use great contractors. To me, great contractors are very special, like a great surgeon, like a great teacher, like a great nurse. A great contractor is very important. We'll only use the best. And when you put a coat of asphalt on that 2 inches of asphalt, 3 inches of asphalt, it looks brand new. You take all the garbage off. They reseed it, as we call it, or different names, but they take the bad stuff off and they put the good stuff down. It takes not a long period of time. A matter of a few days, you'll have a beautiful, magnificent road. You fix up the curbs. You get rid of the medians in this town are just horrible. You're riding around. I think to myself, leaders come from foreign countries. You see, with leaders all the time. Differently, they came in from India recently and from everywhere. They came in from a war that we just ended, Azerbaijan, and that, and Armenia. We just ended the war. The 2 leaders came in. One of them said, "My country looks better. The roads are better than." We were talking about it. I said, "What do you think?" He said, "Well, the roads are better in Armenia than they are in Washington, D.C. It's embarrassing." And I was asked at the last press conference, they said to me, "How important is it? You're doing world peace. We're going on Friday to Alaska, meeting with President Putin, Russia. How important it is that the capital is important?" I said, "Very, very important." I told my father, said to me, "When you see a restaurant and you want to go and you want to have dinner, and then you go up to the front door and it's dirty, turn around and go back because the kitchen's dirty." It's the same thing with the capital of the United States of America. If it's dirty and unsafe, it sets a bad tone for the rest of the world. So we're not going to do that. We're going to have this capital fixed up, safe, clean, and beautiful in a very short period of time. Go ahead, please. In the back? Yeah, please.
Yes, Mr. President, how were your calls this morning with European leaders, and was it your call not to invite President Zelensky to your meeting with Putin?
No, just the opposite. No. We had a very good call. He was on the call. President Zelensky was on the call. I would rate it a 10, very, very friendly. I know the leaders because I was at NATO, as you know. I took it from 2% to 5%, 2% that wasn't paid, 5% that is paid, which is trillions of dollars in defense capability. No, it was always going to be, I was going to meet with President Putin, and then after that, I'm going to call the leaders and President Zelensky. I'm going to call President Zelensky, and then I'll call, probably in that order, the leaders. There's a very good chance that we're going to have a second meeting, which will be more productive than the first, because the first is I'm going to find out where we are and what we're doing. Again, this is Biden's war. This isn't my war. He got us into this thing, and it should have never happened. This war would have never happened if I were president. But it is what it is, and I'm here to fix it, and I'm here to stop 6,000, 7,000 people last week. 7,213 people last week were killed, mostly soldiers. But missiles being lobbed into towns don't exactly help either, but mostly soldiers. And Ukrainian and Russian, they're not American soldiers, but if we can save a lot of lives, it would be a great thing. I've stopped 5 wars in the last 6 months. And on top of that, we wiped out the nuclear capability of Iran, obliterated it. It's turned out to be a correct word, by the way, because some of the press said, well, maybe it wasn't obliteration. It was obliteration. And we're going to meet with, I would say, the second meeting. If the first one goes okay, we'll have a quick second one. I would like to do it almost immediately. And we'll have a quick second meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky and myself, if they'd like to have me there. And that would be a meeting where maybe it could be absolutely work. But the first meeting will not work that out. Certain great things can be gained in the first. It's going to be a very important meeting. But it's setting the table for the second meeting. I think the second meeting, if the second meeting takes place. Now, there may be no second meeting, because if I feel that it's not appropriate to have it because I didn't get the answers that we have to have, then we're not going to have a second meeting.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
I didn't ask you. Go ahead, please, Redress.
I just wanted to ask you, thank you, Mr. President. How involved were you in the selection process of these honorees?
I would say I was about 98% involved. No, they all went through me. They came over, Rick and Sergio and everybody. They said, I turned down plenty. They were too woke. I had a couple of wokesters. No, we have great people. This is very different than it used to be. Very different. These are great people, and they're not. I don't have any idea the Republican, because they want people that the Kennedy Center has everything. Look at the Academy Awards. It gets lousy ratings now. It's all woke. All they do is talk about how much they hate Trump. But nobody likes that. They don't watch anymore. That used to have 45 million people watching. Remember The Apprentice, first season. The Apprentice had 42 million people. The Academy Awards had 41 million people. We were the second show to the Super Bowl. But since then, the Academy Awards have gone down to, I think they've gone down to numbers that are like a regular show, because it went woke. We're not doing it for that reason. We're doing it because we want the great talent. But these are great people. So I was just a very long answer, but I was very involved.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Biden administration was auctioning off border wall materials, but we're hearing now that the auctioneer is selling those materials back. Are you finishing building the wall?
Well, I built hundreds of miles of wall, and I was getting very close. I actually finished the wall, but then I added another 200 miles, because when you do the original wall that I said I was going to build, which I got built, and I got it to the specifications of the Border Patrol and ICE, the exact. They wanted steel, they wanted concrete inside, they wanted rebar inside that, they wanted it to have wires. The walls are wired for, all of the internet stuff and security things. And we built it hundreds of miles. We did great. That's one of the reasons, even now, we're able to have such good numbers at zero, or essentially very little people coming in. But Biden, I ordered for another 200 miles. I was going to do another 200 because it's the way it is. And we're all set to do it. Then we had the bad election result, the horrible, what happened to our country, what they've allowed to happen to our country. And we are taking now that wall back. They sold the wall. Now, this is expensive stuff. Hardened steel, very expensive. 9,000-pound concrete and rebar. Rebar is very expensive. The hardest rebound. No, it's very hard to cut. You have different materials. It's very hard to cut because they cut it down if they can. It's very hard to cut. And Biden sold it for pennies on the dollar, 3 cents on the dollar, 4 cents on the dollar. He sold it. And I said, these guys really don't want it. That was when I first realized, when I saw the wall was being put up, because we could have finished the rest of the wall in about 4 weeks, anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks. It was all set to go. It was laying down, ready to be put up. The foundations were, and they took over and they said, we're going to sell the wall. And they sold it, as you know, for pennies on the dollar. Well, Pam Bondi's been working very hard on suing that company, and I think they reached a settlement where we're taking the wall back. But they stole the wall from us. That wall is so expensive to build, and we had it, as you know, hundreds of miles of it, and they came along and they basically sold it for scrap. And what a shame that is. But that was when I first realized that these people actually want to have open borders. And no country has poor countries don't have open borders. No, we had open borders where people just walked in. It didn't matter what they looked like, who they were. We had 11,888 murderers, half of whom killed more than one person. Literally killed more than one person. And this is who we took into our country. So the wall is the least of it, but we're going to take the wall back. We're paying a small amount of money, as I understand it, to get it back, to get rid of the litigation. We'll take it back. We'll put it up. Yeah. Go ahead in the back, please.
I want to take it back to the Kennedy Center, if I can, just for a second, Mr. President.
Sure.
From what I understand, the Les Mis show exceeded everyone's expectations. Attendance, revenue, across the board.
That's great.
Do you anticipate future shows to basically do the same?
I like that guy. Now, that's called a question, okay? And he's a great reporter, actually. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, it did great. Les Mis did great, broke records, and was sold out and beautiful. And we anticipate a lot of that happening. There's a thirst for it. And especially when the crime is knocked out. You know, when we knock out crime, some people probably stay away from places like restaurants and other things. It ruins your whole fabric. It ruins your country. And when somebody thinks they have about a 25% chance of getting mugged, they say, let's not go to restaurants tonight. We're going to make it so that they have no chance of getting mugged. And it's going to happen soon. And yeah, we think we're going to have a lot of very successful evenings here. Please.
Will Russia face any consequences if Vladimir Putin does not agree to stop the war after your meeting on Friday?
Yes, they will. Yeah.
What will the consequences
there will be
be?
consequences.
Sanctions, tariffs?
There will be, I don't have to say, there will be very severe consequences. Yes. Yeah, please.
Can I ask you a question about the Fed?
Right next to you, please. Yeah.
About the Federal Reserve.
Oh, Federal Reserve, my favorite.
Posted
Too
yesterday
late.
that you're
He's too
considering-
late.
You're considering suing Jay Powell. Can you update us on your thinking about that and tell us where you are in your search for a new chair?
Well, he took a building that could have been painted and fixed. Like, we're going to fix this building for very little money. And that was in better shape. He took a building and what they did to that building, they built a basement under the building. It didn't have a basement. This is simple to understand. The building is right next to a thing called the Potomac River, the beautiful Potomac River. That means lots of water. And the water is right under the building. And they decide to build a basement under the building in the Potomac River. So in order to do that, you need the biggest pumps that God ever created. And they were pumping their hearts out. But as big as those pumps are, you can't pump it fast enough because it's the Potomac River. If the pump were bigger than this room, you couldn't pump it. But they tried, and they've been building a basement. And I said, why did you want to build a basement? I thought it would be a good idea, sir. A basement is the least valuable floor in a building. I know a lot about real estate. The least valuable thing is the basement. And you don't build a basement under a building that is 2 feet above the river that's right next door. You know, it's right near the river. People don't realize the river's right out their window. And that's the beginning. They did just a terrible job. Instead of, I could take a ceiling like this, they'd rip out the ceiling because they see a crack. Let's rip out the ceiling. And I would fix the crack and I would paint the ceiling. And under the ceiling, they put the most incredible protective material. They go out by 3/4 inch, brand new, gorgeous 3/4 inch plywood and sheetrock, hardened sheetrock. And they had it all over the building. So if a little piece of flake came down, but the problem is when they took the ceiling down and it would hit, they spent millions of dollars on protective material that you didn't have to spend anything. He could have done that job for $25 million and they spent $3.1 billion. He said 2.7, but it's really 3.1. They just don't want to include one of the buildings in the deal. But it's going to be much more than that. And I think he'll be long gone by the time it finishes because they've got a long way to go. And then I hear they want to hire 3,000 economists. What are they going to do? And he got it all wrong. He's too late. We call him Jerome Too Late Powell. It will live with him forever. I believe that name will live with him forever, along with the name Pocahontas and some of the others. He worked closely with Pocahontas, by the way. She's another beauty. But we have a real problem there. They're way over budget. And they did a job that shouldn't have been done. It was unnecessary to be done. Instead of, I could have gotten the greatest wallpaper anywhere in the world from the finest stores in the world. I could have fixed up a wall a little bit. It would have taken about 2 hours and covered it with the most magnificent silk and most magnificent paper for thousands of dollars as opposed to tens of millions of dollars. What a shame it is that they did. But they would take down areas of the building that shouldn't have been taken down. That could have literally been painted. And they didn't do that. So they've got a long way to go. And I think it's just grossly incompetent, but not quite as incompetent as his decision not to do interest rates, take down interest rates, because just like they shouldn't have taken down a ceiling, they should take down interest rates. Every point costs us $360 billion a year. Think of that, $360 billion for 1 point. And we should be down at 1% because we're the leader of the world. We were always the lowest interest rate until like a certain time ago, decade, couple. But we were always, because we were the United States of America. So even if the country was run badly, we were considered like to be super prime. And now he's got us in a bad place. So we're paying $360 billion a year for each point. Now, I believe we should be 3 or 4 points lower. So that's over $1 trillion we pay every year in interest. And it's really just a paper calculation. You sign a document and you save almost $1 trillion because that number equates very much to the bonds that we have to buy. But despite that, we're powering through it. And we have the greatest economy maybe we've ever had. But the housing sector, people aren't able to get good mortgages. They're paying too much because of Jerome Too Late Powell. He's truly incompetent. And we'll be making another, we put a very good man in temporarily in the one spot because one of the people that was appointed by the Democrats left early. And I heard left because that person wanted lower interest rates. And I heard quit, but I have no idea. I'm sure she won't say that. I'll be naming a new chairman sometime within the next, I think I'll name it a little bit early, the new chairman. I'm down to 3 or 4 names, all good, all great. The problem is you name them and then they turn out to be not good. That's happened to me a couple of times. You name somebody, they tell you everything you want to hear, and then they go in and they turn out to be not good. I mean, he told me everything that I thought was appropriate. He turned out to be a stiff, you know, real stiff. But other than that, I think he's doing a very good job. Yes. Okay, maybe 1 or 2 more. 1 or 2 more. Yes, sir, please. Go ahead.
Mr.
He looks
President.
like Scott Bessent. Are you the Treasury Secretary?
You don't want me for Treasury.
I don't know. I don't know. You look like you could do a good job. Go ahead.
I keep my family budget okay. Sir, when you meet with Vladimir Putin Friday in Alaska,
yeah,
do you believe you can convince him to stop targeting civilians in Ukraine?
Well, I'll tell you what, I've had that conversation with him. I've had a lot of good conversations with him. Then I go home and I see that a rocket hit a nursing home or a rocket hit an apartment building and people are laying dead in the street. So I guess the answer to that is no, because I've had this conversation. I want to end the war. It's Biden's war, but I want to end it. I'll be very proud to end this war along with the 5 other wars I ended. But I guess the answer to that is probably no, because I would have had a good conversation with Vladimir. I knew him very well. I got along with him great, actually. We had I had to go through the Russia hoax. And it was actually, it was a strain on the relationship. I actually told him, I said, you know, they got this phony investigation going on, Russia, totally phony, created by Adam Schiff, Shifty Schiff, and Hillary Clinton and the whole group of them. And it made it very dangerous for our country because I was unable to really deal with Russia the way we should have been. I'm looking at Pam because I hope something's going to be done about it. These people put our country at great danger. And Adam Schiff, it was all made up. It was a hoax. The Mueller report came out. They all hated me. They had 18 Trump haters. And they said I did nothing wrong. They couldn't believe, they couldn't find anything after years of investigation. It was all a hoax. It was a hoax created by the Democrats, but in particular Schiff and Crooked Hillary, the whole group. And now we've learned all the stuff that's come out over the last 2 months is incredible through intelligence. And hopefully something's going to happen with it. These are people that put our country in danger, in real danger. I want to thank you all very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Always fun to see sort of like where the where the room goes. You never know what you're going to get. You never know what you're going to get with President Trump. Locking and loading, talking about Washington, D.C., saying there's no way that D.C. will ever become a state, obviously. Posting this on Truth Social, a photo of him at the Kennedy Center, saying that he's going to be hosting the Kennedy Center Honors. And as soon as he said that, I texted Rick Grinnell. And I said, we need to go immediately. Like, we need to go. Please. Let us let us go there, and we'll bring our audience, and we'll bring this audience, we'll bring you along with us, and we will rock and roll. How much fun would that be? Let's do it, man. Okay. No matter where we go in the world, Patriot Mobile is with us. Patriot Mobile always being the backbone of our show when we travel. We've been doing a lot of travel. We have so many goodies for you. Jasmine Crockett was just the beginning. Patriot Mobile was with us every step of the way. There's a lot of cell phone services in the country, but there's only been one that has been boldly standing in the gap for patriots with the rock-ribbed First Amendment at its core. The only Christian conservative wireless provider is Patriot Mobile. They're leading the way in our economy. Patriot Mobile is also outgaining competitors when it comes to technology. One of the only carriers with access to 3 major networks. You can get a smartphone. You can get Wi-Fi. We use it all from the road, mobile hotspots, international roaming. We are going to be going international in just a little bit. It's going to be very interesting. Very interesting to see. You know, there's some communists not too far away from Florida, and we'd like to actually show perhaps the difference, right? What does Miami look like? What's life in Miami like versus life just 90 miles away in Havana? Perhaps we may show you that. It's time to switch today. Go to patriotmobile.com/Benny. 972-PATRIOT. Use promo code Benny for a free month of service. patriotmobile.com/Benny. Okay, let's end on a high note here. Hey, Alex, did I get that right with President Trump? I know he's been live. I know the president's been live for an hour. So the president's hosting the Kennedy Center Honors. He's shutting down D.C. statehood. He talked a lot about the D.C. crime takeover. And he says he's going to work with Putin. And he's going to, he's excited to work with Putin over the next couple of days. He's going to be meeting live with Putin. There's no way we have a time for that. No matter what, obviously, our show will be live for that. Very important. It will happen on Friday. It will happen this Friday. Foreign-born population down 2.2 million in January and July. January to July, correction. Illegal population estimates to have fallen 1.6 million this year. Woo! Cooking. Here's the graphs. Analysis of the raw data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics household survey shows that Donald Trump is winning in the battle against criminal aliens. You guys are here for the first time in your lifetime or mine. The criminal alien population is now beginning to crater in this country. Thank God. Foreign-born populations in this nation take up valuable resources. They create perverse incentives for unlimited mail-in ballots, for having foreigners vote in our elections, something that has been passed in multiple blue cities. It's not legal. It's not constitutional, obviously. It was shut down in the courts. But they've passed it. They've told you what they want to do. They want to replace you. It's not a theory. It's actually happening. President Trump is wanting to reverse that and protect our culture. What is that culture? The culture of being an American. The culture of our forefathers, the culture that founded this country. And President Trump is saying, no, actually, like, it's a good thing to preserve. I thought it was a good thing to preserve cultures, whether it's some 70-person tribe in Papua New Guinea or some isolated island somewhere. What's the island in the Indian Ocean that, like, nobody's ever made contact with and like kill everybody who goes there? It's like, what's that called? The Senegalese or something like that. There's an island. It technically belongs to India. North Sentinel Island is what it's called. Okay. It's a great point. I think it was made by Matt Walsh yesterday. It's called the North Sentinel Island, right? Can you pop that up just to show people like the photos of it? Can you go to the photos? You just click on the photos. North Sentinel Island. Here it is. It's a group of people. This is the famous photo. It's a group of people who have never been contacted, I guess. Never been contacted, and they've just been sort of living the same way since caveman times. And they are protected by military might, by statute, by law. You're not allowed to go there. No one's ever allowed to step foot on there, and they just kind of like live in their own little way. I would say they live in peace, but they like literally kill everyone who steps foot on their island. So it just is what it is. There's the entire world governments that are engaged in the protection of the North Sentinel people. Yet if you say you want to protect Western civilization and you wish to protect the way of life for Americans and our culture, which has actually done enormous good for every human on earth, then you get castigated as a bigot. How dare you? It's only our culture. It's only our culture that is allowed zero protection. No. President Trump saying no. And that's why I celebrate these findings. And I say, good. It's time for us to reestablish American culture, to protect Western civilization, to protect Christendom, and our birthright, which is this great land. And so here, that figure is just something else. The other one, please, Klein. The other graph, yeah, thank you. There you go. Nearly 2 million criminal alien population down, nearly 2 million. And I guess it's on its way to potentially the lowest in your lifetime or mine. Yeah, all right, there we go. There's our golden moment, ladies and gentlemen. What a exciting couple of days for us. Back to work, you know what I mean? Deuteronomy 31:6, our verse of the day. Be strong and of good courage. Do not fear or be afraid, for the Lord your God, he is the one who goes with you. He will not leave you nor forsake you. Yeah. Don't ever live in fear. We have there's, you're allowed a lot of failings, but fear is not one of them. Fear not is said often in the scriptures and by our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Fear not. It's a great way to live. And when God opens the doors for you, just walk boldly, man, and be willing to just do the work of God. And that is what we want to do on this program. So that is what we're going to set about doing. Thank you so much for joining us in this wild last couple of days. How many cities we went to, Klein? Went to DC, Chicago, St. Louis, Dallas, Bozeman, Montana. Okay. It was the last couple of days. Letting her rip and letting her rock. What do we see? Some of the other stuff we're cooking up. It's so fun to win with you and to have this community with you, and build this movement. It's our great honor, and we're excited to win with you. And remember, in the end, we win. It's your boy Benny. See ya.
Guess what? Guess what? Guess what? What comes around just go around. Now here we are down underground, looking for Jim Comey's wig, uncovering something big. Like Big Mike, a honeypot, no better operation cross-dresser. Like Big Mike, they went off the books, now their balls are cooked. Like Big Mike, 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 Mike. Guess what? Guess what? Guess what? Everything will be okay. Guess what day? What day? It's hump day. Get it on. The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest kings, and their dying legacy, media deal weeds. Soon will the Benny Show come to mind. The salt from lives for fun. Be the gold and bring the gun. We sail for #1. Show come to mind. The salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for #1. The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest king.